Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids.
Hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV, and welcome this Reply to Comments 121, the 121st video in which I get to reply to your comments, specifically for that purpose. This is the YouTube version only, okay? If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll only see this version. If you are watching this in alt tech, then please look out for the alt tech version, which will also be on the platform you're watching this on. Now, excuse me. There's going to be a lot of coughing in this video. It's nothing I can do about it. I've still got this cough lingering. The reason I make these videos is because I don't have time to reply by text to all the very interesting comments I get. And I get a lot of them, being a popular channel, and I get a lot. The quality is very high. The quality is actually very high, as well as the quantity. In fact, I'll show you the quality of my comments is a lot higher than many YouTubers who have much more viewers than I do and many more comments than I do. So thank you very much for all of those. So I feel obliged to reply to you because a lot of you ask me direct questions. You make direct feedback. Some of it's long and thought out. And I think to myself, well, I need to reply to that. Now, some of you might say, well, look, I only want to reply to one comment, but you expect me to watch a 9-hour video. That's not a very good system you got, Ben. Well, you don't have to watch a 9-hour video for two reasons. Firstly, there'll be a timestamp under the comment I'm replying to, which will tell you when within the nearest hour I'm going to reply to it. And secondly, my reply to comments videos I've never reached 9 hours for several years now because I do them more often. So they're a lot shorter than they used to be. Many of you enjoy watching these reply to comments videos. I know some of you watch them all the way through anyway. Now, another reason for this is specifically for YouTube is that a point that Stefan Molyneux made. The comments are essentially part of the creativity. The comments are essentially a philosophical dialogue, which Stefan Molyneux actually lost when he was banned from YouTube. I think they're back, and now he's had them restored. So maybe he'll take steps to preserve them in case that happens again. Yeah, the comments are a precious philosophical dialogue, as he said. And these videos, in a sense, preserve the comments, whether they endure as text or not. Now, if you are watching this on video, you can use the show transcript function as well as the timestamps to find the video you want. Just click Control F and the transcript will appear. It sometimes takes about an hour or so after the video is uploaded, but it will appear. And then just put your own username or the question into the search function. It'll skip directly to wherever you want to be. So this is basically the preamble of this particular video. Now, so what I'll do is I'll go to exactly where I left off at the end of the last reply to comments video and have a look at the first comment that was made, which at the beginning of this cycle. And 6EQUJ5, which of course I'm sure you'll recognize is the wow signal code, says first, well done, wow signal. And Red Ibex, who says, nice one, I'm slacking. Yeah, Red Ibex didn't get there first this time. And 6EQJ5, there is a timestamp here. That was on reply to comments 120, the last reply to comments video. And there's a timestamp here and a thumbs up. And what's it say? Let's have a look. Yeah, I know. I don't have shiny white teeth and I don't have silky black hair. Yeah, that's a reference to Professor Brian Cox. Red Ibex says here on reply to comments 120, Ben Fiddler, lol, sounds a bit dodgy. He's not dodgy. I mean, if you watch my videos at Lapis, and he was there at the Isle of Man in 2023. He goes to Weird Weekend North. He's actually a really nice guy. He looks a bit like me, except he's got a beard, and he wears a kilt. He's actually a really cool guy. He's the guy who keeps beating me in a lard eating contest. He just happens to be called Fiddler, yeah. And Red Ibex says here, oh, we got like a timestamp on reply to comments 120 here. Whatever her name is. And he says, now, don't forget, Albert. Right, you've got to go. I look really shocked when he walks. That's Only Fools and Horses. He says, brilliant. When Rodney is taking Tanya out and still married to Cassandra, Albert looks shocked. Yeah, that's right. He gets a second. He goes on a date when he's separated from Cassandra. That's right. And Over the Moon says, yeah, I'm glad I remembered it. I posted about it and Ben mentioned it. Yeah. Oh, Albert can never look shocked at the right time because Dell tells him to look shocked at a certain time and he can never quite get it right. And here Red Ibex says, thank you, Ben, for defending your subs. Oh, let's have a look. This is a timestamp. I think this might be where I was having a go at someone. Yeah. Boy, right, German mad. Yeah, right. I know. What's going to happen is now I've worked out what you do. It's not you can hide user from your channel. So what I'll do is I'll do that to German mad next time I see him, and it's hide user from channel. It's the same thing as blocking, unless he wishes to offer a comprehensive apology to the people he's insulted. That's what's going to happen to him. Right, Red Ibex says 120. Just received a phone call saying YouTube are offering a £300 a day job. Scam call? Probably, yeah. Sounds too good to be true, Red Ibex. And if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And Over the Moon says underneath, I got one from the FBI or CIA, I can't remember, asking me to join them and provide my bank details for payment. Smith@gmail was the email address. What sort of bloody idiot would fall for that? Well, I mean, yeah, some of the scams that come through are very obvious. You know, the Nigerian princess. I've got £800 million worth of gold. It's in this vault in Lagos. Just send me £200 for the release fee, and I'll transfer it to you. I mean, some of these are just so obvious, but I keep getting them, so they must be working on some people. Red Ibex says here, it happens. I'm in Britain, and they use the word courthouse. We don't use that phrase in Britain. Don't we? Courthouse, yeah. A courthouse is a place where there's a court. They use the word courthouse. We don't use that phrase in Britain. Now, sorry, Red Ibex. I don't understand you there, Red Ibex. We do use that phrase. And we have a long thread here from Over the Moon. Over the Moon says here, right, Over the Moon says here right, I'm just going to double check something actually, because I did see this comment before and I just want to make sure everything is shipshape and secure. Yeah, the mic's working anyway. Over the Moon says here, where he says, when you are using a generated background of a room why are you using a generated background of a room you're sitting in? The video is glitching all the time, all the way through. I've gone headphones audio only. Please take this as intended constructive criticism. Fair enough for Over the Moon. And the reason it is actually my studio area, which is literally to my left, to my right here, to your left. The reason I've reproduced it as a fake background is because if I didn't, I'd have to move my desk all the way around 90 degrees and about 3 feet backwards, and my chair and everything else. And I'd have to make sure all the wires don't get tangled or pulled out, and I have to clear away loads of dust. Yeah, and what it is, it's you're quite right. I mean, it's not perfect, I know, but I would have to just make sure I'd have to clear away all the dust and everything, which probably needs to be done actually. But I do it for convenience, all right. But it is true. You do get like problems with glitching. So, for example, if I go like that, everything disappears, and my hands disappear when I go like that. And I'm doing Stop the New World Order. My hand and my arm keeps vanishing. What I need is a green screen, which I'll admit I've been too lazy to sort out. But you're right, I should do that. Yes, I should do that. And Neil Peel says it saves Ben tidying up. Well, that's true. That's literally true. Over the Moon says, you mean the background is tidy? Neil says, I'm sure things don't remain static in Ben's place, but his background image is at least static. It gives a broad history, clues about his life. That's right. Yeah, you've got my studio area has my hospital porter's uniform. There's several posters of events I've been to and books I've read. There are stickers and things behind me. There's Boudica and there's Boris. There's the T-shirt of Boris Johnson's famous "Make Britain Independent Again" T-shirt, which I keep, even though obviously I'm off the Boris train. There's the "Make Britain Great Again" T-shirt, Area 51. It's all themed on me, and it's kind of like, it's just like a kind of summary of me basically, which so Neil is summed it up just right. And Over the Moon says his hardware and software or both aren't up to it. It will be better not to use it. And Neil says, quite rightly, a green screen might help key it better. Yes, I think that's the thing. Or what Miles Johnson calls a chroma key. And I'd have to get one. And I know exactly where to hang it from, actually. There are 2 pipes. There are 2 water pipes on either side of my just near the ceiling, which I could use to hang it on. So yes, there's no excuse really. So over the moon, in fact, you've kind of reminded me it's something I need to sort out. As says Neil. 120, Paul Wills. Great reply to comments once again, Ben. Please can we have a Christmas live stream? Cheers, mate. Yes, I will. The Christmas live stream's a good idea. And I did one on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day one year. I remember, and I did each on a different platform: BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble. Well, I might do that again, or I might just do one on YouTube. I don't know, but I'll see how it goes. It all depends how drunk I am. I'm definitely doing one Boxing Day though, because it's I've promised Larry Warren I would. 45th anniversary of the Rendlesham Forest incident. Over the Moon says Charles. Right. Over the Moon has posted a link to the Danny Jones video of Bart Sabell and Charlie Duke, and he adds here, I sure hope Charlie rocks up and punches him in the kisser. Dearie me, Over the Moon. If one of us woo-woos said that would be called hate speech. But you skeppers can say it, and you're showing your skeptic privilege here. You know that? Well, Charlie, I don't think he's going to do that. He's a little bit too old for that sort of thing. I think I did an entire. Did I do a review of this? Yeah, I think I did it on Third Rail Radio. Let's have a look. I think I did it on Third Rail Radio, but I did a review of the entire event, of the entire thing, either on Third Rail Radio or here we go. No, not that one. It's on one of these. I think was it actually? I wonder, was it HPANWO Voice? Let me just make it a bit more interesting for you, so you can see what I'm doing. Let's have a look. Was it HPANWO Voice? Let's scroll down. I don't even know where it is. Here it is. There you are. Bart Sabell versus Charlie Duke. There is an entire. That's from the Danny Jones podcast, and there's an entire written review. I don't see any need to repeat myself by saying any more about it, because it's all on there, and you can kind of guess what I think about it, can't you? You can guess whose side I was, can't you? Right. We have Professor Unwinmost, who says Falklands War 40th anniversary. My God, this is an old one. Yeah, obviously this was in 2022. And Professor Unwinmost says here, Lady Frukas and Gentlepeep, in this gravy-load hour of history most doings, we stand firmity firm against the growly grum threaty that loom it over our fair island bode. But fear not, for the spirit of the Brit folk is uncrushabode. Strong as a rhino in stoutly underpants, oh yes. We shall bite them on the features, we shall bosh them on the landing grounds, we shall kick their bocus in the fields and in the street bodes, and we shall never, never, never follow up into the gloomy doom. For our wobble is firm, our resolve is stiffy stiff, and our teapot of courage is full to brimload with steam puffer treel. If the darkly foe think it, they can fright us. Well, we shall show them the mighty glorio roar of a nation, what stands together in heart, hope, and hobnob heroes most. And even if by some twisty twist load of fate our isle be bopped or buffeted, yet shall our people carry the glow flame all inspiry there across briny most skies and story bookers untold. So take heart, dear peoploads, stand fast in the deep joy of our purpose, for I say with all the chest puffage that a leader may muster, we shall wibble forth to victory, and wobble shall never fallollop, and the wobble shall never fallollop deep joy. Right. So there you have it. That's what if Winston Churchill spoke Unwinese, that's what he would say in the Falklands, about the Falklands conflict. Thanks very much, Professor. And Professor Emlyn-Jones says it on Trump impeachment 2 live stream banned. Yeah, I had a video banned, didn't I? Yes, I did. Ah, yes, Donnelly Trump load. Bigly wig in the shouty house, hair fluff it like a golden candy floss cloud loader. And he does look like that, yes, doesn't he? I mean, I don't know why he just doesn't go bald like me, baldy load, like me, easy, yes. Right, 120. We have red ibex, and it is a. We have a timestamp here. Red ibex is very helpful because he provides lots of timestamps. Oh, hi. I hope you're well, Ben. I was unfortunate enough to have innocently clicked on a video hoping for information about Charlie Kirk's assassination and witnessed a close-up video of his murder. And like you, I was appalled and completely. I saw that too. Gory. Yes. Yes, that's a TikTok. That was. By the way, I must remember to do TikTok. I'm going to open it now because I always bloody forget TikTok at the end of the damn. I always forget TikTok, don't I? At the end of the bloody. Anyway, yeah. The video, I mean, the videos, I think it's been deleted, but it was for a while. It was on, and it's. I actually looked at it and I thought, he's not going to.
Chile-based telescope, which is a part of the asteroid-terrestrial impact lab.
TikTok, hang on. And I thought to myself, I mean, immediately he sort of flinches back, and then immediately he starts bleeding very profusely down his chest. And I thought, I mean, as a hospital porter, I've seen injuries. I'm not a doctor, but I don't think you have to be to say he's going to lose so much blood that he won't survive that. It was horrible, and it's what they did to him. Whether you agree with him or not, he was like a really gentle, kind of like rational person, a debater rather than a fighter. So he prove you wrong, but he would never stab you. He would never stab you. You know what I mean? You just try to prove you wrong rationally rather than like just call you names and stuff. And we have here 120, and we have Oni Amiga who says here, since you mention it, I do have the ZX Spectrum Plus and every other Spectrum Sinclair and almost every type of Amiga, the best home computer between 85 and 93. They were the years of the competition. I take it you had a Spectrum Plus. Yes, I did. Have you still got them? My goodness me, I think I lost my, I mean, they went out with my teddy bears, when I grew up. And One String Puppet says underneath, the Sinclair ZX Spectrum 48K with the rubber keys was my first ever computer. Jet Set Willy, Super G-Man, and Chucky Egg were the best. Oh, I never played Super G-Man, but Chucky Egg. The Chucky Egg 2 was fantastic. And the various Jets, I think there were 3 Jet Set Willys. The second one was the best. These were computer games that were they were very simple technically by today's standards, very, very crude. But they were so much good fun, and they were equally absorbing and entertaining as anything that comes out of Call of Duty or anything like that you get nowadays. They were brilliant. Yeah, the rubber key Spectrum. I knew some people who had those. I think the Plus was better because you had the reset button on the side was a bit of a pain in the ass because you could press it accidentally. Where the original rubber key ones, you literally had to unplug it. But the Spectrum Plus, you could so easily accidentally reset it. And we have here 120. Amiga, would you allow a man in black into your home? He might do if it was a gimp. A gimp. Meaning a fool. If it was a fool. I don't, even then I wouldn't, because it could be pretending to be a fool, only Amiga. How do I, I wouldn't know that it was I wouldn't know that it really was. It really was a kind of, what's the word, that it may be pretending to be a gimp, lulling me into a sense of false security so that it could then invade my home and do God knows what to me, So no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't allow men in black in my home. Although people who actually encounter them often find that they don't have any. They feel compelled, and they don't behave as they normally would, as if the presence of the men in black affects their thought processes, just like with the black-eyed children, who I think are related to the men in black. People who encounter them said, oh, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I said that. It's like Jim Templeton, he, the guy who took the photo of the big white being behind his daughter up in Cumbria. You know the photo of the little girl sitting on the moor in Cumbria, and there's a strange white creature behind her. I think that there's been some attempts to explain that away, which don't really work. But he was visited by the Men in Black, and this was 1964. This was before the concept of Men in Black actually existed in popular culture. Yet what he reports is a classic MIB encounter. And he said, "Oh, we got into the car and we drove there, and then they left me, and I had to walk back, and things like that." He says, "Well, why did I do that? It doesn't make sense." Right, Paul Wills says here on 120. Ben, can you hook up with Don Phillips again and do another meetup in some old pub, tavern, maybe in Wiltshire or York or even Oxford? I remember the last one you did. Did you interview him before you did the EVP session? Thanks, mate. Just a suggestion for future content. You're welcome, and that's a really, really good. That's a really good suggestion. Don is. I think Don is kind of. Well, from what I gather, I don't want to put myself down here, but Don's kind of entered the big league now. I mean, he did this documentary which I watched. I actually reviewed it. It's really what is it? And Steve Mera is in it. What's it? Hang on, where is it? Anyway, Don. This is Don's latest documentary. Here we go. Don Phillips on Unsolved Mysteries. Yeah, this is the kind of work he's doing now. And I think this was on Amazon Prime. I think was it? Where was it? I think it was Amazon Prime or Netflix. But anyway, I watched this. It was a series which Don was in. Don was just in one episode of the series. It was really good. So I don't think he does that sort of thing now, unless he has like you have to go through his agent and things like that. He's sort of like gone up in the world, and that's not a criticism. That's not. I feel no resentment there. Same with Steve Mera. They're kind of out of my league now, and I don't mind. I'm glad. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them. Yeah, I did interview Steve. Just saying that though, I actually did an interview with Steve Mera just a few months ago. When those sort of Nazca mummy things came back into the news. So yeah, maybe I'll ask him. I'll ask him again. It's worth maybe asking. Paul Will says, I loved Rent-A-Ghost, Ben. Born in 73, 80s kid here. Great times. Yes, indeed, Paul. And you know what? I was born, I won't say exactly what year, but I'm kind of in your ballpark. And I loved Rent-A-Ghost. I mean, how many of you, honestly, I wouldn't want to be a kid nowadays. I'm really glad I'm the age I am because if you're like a Zoomer or millennial, you will have missed so much. Not that you have to miss it, because here we are, Rent-A-Ghost. Because it's like you can get them on YouTube now, so you don't miss them completely. But it's not in our culture anymore. But it's about a company. It's a company that called Rent-A-Ghost actually hires out various supernatural entities. And what's his name? Oh, he was good. Timothy Claypole. He was Mr. Claypole. He was really cool. And he was sadly he died. He died in the 80s AIDS epidemic. He was homosexual and succumbed to AIDS. That's him. He was so funny. He was great, Mr. Claypole. And there's the entire cast. Some of them have gone on to do better. Like Sue Nichols is in Coronation Street now. See, yeah. And Christopher Biggins was in it as well. There's Hazel McWitch. There's Mr. and Mrs. Meeker. That's Mr. Mumford. Oh, it's so good. It's brilliant. Yeah, Mr. Claypole. There's nothing quite like that nowadays, I'll tell you. You kids, you don't know what you missed. You don't know what you've missed. You really don't. First, this is on Age of Disclosure Watch Party Review. First says the wow signal. Well done. And Bright and Amazing says here second, but only due to keeping HMRC happy. Oh, paying your taxes like a good lad, Bright and Amazing. Hopefully have enough left to buy the movie. Well, after they've fleeced you, I don't know, man. I'll tell you, I'm having constant debates with my accountant, actually, about, because I'm self-employed, and about exactly how much work I can do. And she's actually advised me to turn down work at certain points, saying, look, if you do this, you're going to be over this tax bracket. You'll have to pay more tax. And I'm like, it's pathetic. You actually do less work to earn more because of the stupid tax system we have. And it's so much. It is so much. I mean, the bloody, in the Bible, they're always talking about tax collectors, aren't they? In the Gospels. And then what surprised me when I found out is those tax collectors, they only took the equivalent of about a week's income from those fishermen. The Romans hardly taxed. They managed to fund everything with taxing people like for 1 week's income. The amount of tax we pay is like 50-60% of capital in circulation is forfeit to the state. It's incredible. What are they doing with all that money? Apart from building HS2 and Brit cards and CCTV and you know what to fight against various diseases. Okay. But I'm glad you made it second, bright and amazing. And you just said something that caused a little mini rant there. Asia, that's the same video, the review. Oh, Gene Skinner interview. Oh, this is one of my oldest videos. Well, it's not one of my oldest. It's one I made a number of years ago. It's become one of my most popular and famous because this was the last video Jean ever did. This was the last interview she ever gave. So this video has become something of a legend in the spiritualist community. In fact, it was watching this video that caused what's his name, Jason Harrington, to invite me to his seance. If you remember that video I did back in 2020. Hi Ben and all there, says Gabe. There is something unclear that Jean says in the interview. Timestamp.
There are different forms that people mistakenly take for real transfiguration.
Okay. She says there are different forms that people mistakenly take for real transfiguration called Mordens. I think she says Mordens at 131. That's it. You can watch this. Here we go.
Mordens. And that's a very different thing altogether.
Mordens.
Because true transfiguration is done with ectoplasm.
Mordens. It sounds like that to me, yes. It does sound like that to me, to be honest. Yes, it does indeed. I don't know. I mean, she's got, she comes from Northumberland and she's got this strong Geordie accent. And it says what YouTube translates it to that, but I think the audio is unclear and I can't find any reference to this on the internet. I'd like to know what word she actually said. What forms is she speaking about that are mistaken for real transfiguration? Thanks. Well, Gabe, I'll have to ask. That's a great question, and thanks for watching the video and finding it as interesting as so many other people did. But Jean actually passed away a few months after that video was made and was filmed. And I'm very grateful to Truth Seekers Northeast for organising that for me. That's great of them to do that. Wardens. She's a Geordie. So what would that be if you weren't a Geordie? I don't know. Maybe it's simply just a Geordie word. And I don't know what it means. I'll try and find out for you, Gabe. Okay, but I can't answer you right now. I'm very sorry. And we have Watch Party Review and Lab Based, who says here, I've got to admit, I'm a bit jaded at this stage by alien documentary movies claiming disclosure. It reminds me of the infamous meme of the old lady being interviewed about elections. Oh, not another one. I also wonder why they are they rarely mainstream either, showing on cinemas or streaming sites on release? Surely if they want coverage or exposure, that would be the key. Right. Well, I mean, I actually made the point, Lab-Based, in the review, that in many ways, Age of Disclosure is very unoriginal. It has like loads of interviews with various talking heads. There are vignettes of drone footage of Washington DC and things like that. So yeah, I mean, you've seen that so many times before. A dozen times UFO Wood has produced this since 2017. What makes this unique, I think, is it's the level of the people. It's the people involved. No other has ever had Marco Rubio, who's Secretary of State, and no others have had. There's some unique elements to it, and indeed the level, the fact that it's got 1 foot in Hollywood. So this is actually very mainstream, and it has shown in cinemas. It is doing a big screen. It is doing a big screen tour at the moment. It was actually premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival, for goodness sake, and it's eligible for an Oscar. So it's actually been nominated for, or is seeking nomination for Best Documentary in the Oscars. So while we look out for the next Academy Awards, it may well be there. It'll certainly be. I think it'll get a nomination, but it may well win. That'll be quite something. Along with the fact that Dan Farrow has close links to Steven Spielberg, who seems to be coordinating his own movie, which I bring up in a future video, as you know if you've watched it, my most recent one, called Disclosure Day. And that's so yeah, so don't give up. I mean, I know you need a lot of patience in this business. I've been having a debate with someone on Twitter about this just today, and this is not entertainment for us, as Ross Coulthard said. This is a process, and sometimes things will appear not to be happening, and I'm afraid we just need patience. David Splendid Isolation says underneath, it doesn't claim disclosure is here yet. Yeah, that's true. It doesn't yet. No, that's right. All right. So, for some reason, I've got 2 replies there. No, it's better 2 than none. That's strange. It seems to have 2 entries here, but that's all right. I've got it on new. I set it to newest first, so maybe it'll work this time. Right. Oh, we have here David Smith on 120. It's a long comment here. Who says, what's the time? Just time check. I'm about halfway through hour number 1. Because I've got a feeling this is going to take up most of hour number 2. This is going to take most up of the rest of the hour. But that's okay. I welcome all comments. Ben, your clown's day off fallacy doesn't work. Right. When people like Mick West offer up potential explanations, they don't have to do that. All they really have to say is, you think it's an alien, prove it. That's all skepticism is. And it's why your talk on skepticism doesn't make sense. You redefine it when it suits you because you're happy to use it to prevent yourself from sending money to someone claiming they have a box of gold with your name on it. But when it comes to things like UFOs, UAPs being alien origin, suddenly that same skepticism is pushed aside. No, David, I think you misunderstand me, David. I'll do this paragraph by paragraph. Okay. What I'm saying with the clown's day off fallacy is that the clown's day off fallacy is something totally different. It's not an absence of skepticism. It's where skepticism cannot find a specific problem, a flaw in the logic of someone making a woo-woo claim. So, for example, if I say there's a monster in Loch Ness, here's the evidence for it. There's photographs. There's a DNA specimen. There's etc., etc. Right? The skeptic cannot find a flaw with that. All right. So what the skeptic then does is says, yes, but a clown with a day off from the circus faked all that evidence. All right. And then you say, well, what clown? Where is it? And they say, I don't know. I don't know about any clown. It's just, I've just made it up. It is physically possible, therefore it wins by default because it doesn't involve strange creatures in Scottish lakes. That's what I mean by the clown's day off fallacy. I don't mean, I accept that if someone says to me, you think it's alien, prove it, Mick West is quite right to say that. But when you provide evidence and he says, oh no, it's just a reflection, it's a reflection on the window of David Fravor's aircraft canopy, that's a clown's day off fallacy. Do you understand the difference? This is a reflection that he's never seen. Mick West has never even sat in the cockpit of one of these planes, or at least certainly when it was in this situation. He's making something up. He's imagining something and inserting it as a potential explanation, which he then says, because it's physically possible, that we have to accept it. We have to accept it because it doesn't involve aliens. I hope that clarifies my position, and that's why I think you misunderstand me. Right, second paragraph. This is what is called the special pleading fallacy. You don't apply the same rules to one thing, UFOs, as you do to other gold box scams. Well, I'll read the rest of the paragraph. Now you can say, but all the evidence for UFOs being aliens is there, quote unquote. But the problem for you is that what you're claiming is good evidence isn't being accepted as that. So what do? You make another claim about how it's a cover-up by scientism or the deep state. Okay. I think I do apply the same rules to UFOs as I do gold box scams. I was talking earlier about gold box scams, wasn't I? And how it's a bit depressing how so many people fall for them. This is why when someone claimed, I also mentioned earlier the Nazca mummies. Some people are claiming that these are actually extraterrestrials. What did I do? Do I claim they're extraterrestrials? David, let me just show you. Let me actually show you the interview I was talking about. And maybe you can watch it if you've got time. Go and watch it. Let me just find it for you. Hang on. I'll let you watch. Here we go. I'll let you watch where we are. Is this the one? 218, no, it's just 2018. There's so many slides in these things. Hang on. 527. I think this is it. Yeah. Steve Mayer, a paranormal investigator, he returns to provide an update on the strange case of the alien mummies. See here for important background. Is this the one? 280. What's the most recent one? 2015, 2024. That's Mark Devlin. Interstellar object. I think it is. Yeah, that's the most recent one there. So please do go and watch this one here. HPANWO Show 527. Okay. And that, now you may be surprised based on what you've just said about me, about what you hear. You'll find that I do apply the same rules to UFOs as I do gold box scams. And I don't say at any point the evidence for the Nazca mummies being aliens is all there, but it's all covered up. Excuse me. It's scientism and the deep state are not covering up the evidence that the Nazca mummies are aliens. The fact of the matter is the Nazca mummies are not aliens from what I've seen. Based on Steve went all the way to Peru and did some very in-depth field research with the help of medical experts. And he took specimens of DNA specimens, X-rays, things like that. That's the reason I don't think why the Nazca mummies are aliens. I had a debate with a guy at Contact in the Desert, the first one, 2024, about this. David continues. All right, where am I? Okay. You've effectively, this is the third paragraph. You've effectively blocked yourself off from thinking rationally because despite those types of claims, we see science making some big changes to previously understood subjects. I don't get that sentence. Despite these types of claims. But that progress only happens after good evidence is presented. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, that's definitely true. Were there sometimes hurdles put in the way or monetary interest trying to suppress findings? Yes, but that doesn't detract from the fact that good evidence wins at the day once it's put up for peer review, and that this method is the best we currently have for determining what's likely to be true. Okay, it is the best method we have. But, I don't think it's fair to say I've blocked myself off from rational thinking. And I mean, politics does have an influence on science. It'd be nice to think that science can just draw these perfect circles everywhere. But you admit there are hurdles put in the way, not just monetary interest, but political interests. Here's a good example. I've got the perfect example for you. Here we go. Beachy Head lady, right? This is this news story was presented a while ago. That there's a woman here who was found at Beachy Head, lived about 2,000 years ago, and this is what she looked like. Can you see that? Here we go. This is what she looked like, and as you can see, she is a black woman. She's probably African, and she was found living 2,000 years ago at Beachy Head. And the cry went up on the BBC. We found the first Black Briton. The first ever Black Briton. So Britain has always been a multiracial, multicultural society. And black people have always naturally lived in this country. And they even put a plaque in the area to commemorate this wonderful event that proves all these nasty, bigoted reform voters and wrong. These Nigel Farage lovers are all wrong. However, this is what when the DNA evidence came in, they found out that here's some more photographs of what they thought she might have looked like. You see, there's some more. See, there's loads of photos, loads of reconstructions of her face about what she might have looked like. Problem is, the DNA evidence said she looked like this. A very typical white Caucasian European woman. Not only that, but the DNA analysis also reveals that she has thousands of living relatives in southeast England today. And the BBC, they quietly removed the plaque, but they've done it very, very quietly indeed. So, David, that's an example of how something political inconvenience has a problem with science. Now, you're probably going to answer, yes, but they did change their minds. And they did. When the evidence changed, yes, you said here, good evidence wins the day. And in this case, good evidence has won the day. However, the news of the truth hasn't been disseminated as widely as news of the original conclusion, which was disproved. And why is that? Well, I think we all know the answer to that, don't we? David continues, not all claims are equal. The chances of a light in the sky being a plane is not equal to the chances of a light in the sky being a flying car. And we do have flying cars. They're just very rare and experimental. But of course, it's silly to think it might be a flying car. But then change it to an alien craft and suddenly the bias comes back. Suddenly you'll say, well, it could be. What do we have? What do we have more evidence for? Flying cars or alien ships? Okay. If I see a light in the sky, I will probably not think it's a flying car, right? That's fair enough. I mean, it could be, like you say, it's physically possible because such things do exist in experimental form. They're actually like little, they have the same kind of propulsion and lift as the drones, like these little small rotor blades. And there's usually 4 of them. So instead of wheels, they have these 4 rotor blades, but they operate like a car. They could even operate at ground level, and so can operate like a car. So I probably won't think that. But however, if it gets close enough for me to see and it looks like one of those flying cars, I will think it's a flying car. Right? Would it be unreasonable for me to say, oh look, it has those little rotors on it, those 4 rotors on it, and I saw a photograph of one of those flying cars in a science magazine, and that one clearly looks like it. I look at it through binoculars, and it looks like one of those flying cars. Now, if that was the case, David, would it be more rational to put the binoculars down, cover my eyes, and say, no, it's an aeroplane. It's an aeroplane. I can just feel it. I just know it deep down. My faith in aeroplanes being aeroplanes all the time is unshakable. Would that be rational? And if your answer is yes, well, that's that. You see, that would be a very irrational skeptic position. Do we have more evidence of flying cars or alien ships? We have evidence. In my view, we have evidence for both. So, I mean, if you disbelieve this evidence exists, I'm happy to discuss it with you. He carries on. So, how do you determine any light you can't identify is a plane versus flying car versus alien? The way it moves? What if it's something else someone knocked up in their garage? I've got the perfect example of that. What if it's a government project completely Earth-based with no alien involvement? What if it's some super rare unknown weather phenomenon? How do you rule those things out before labeling something alien? How do you rule out any other possibility apart from aliens? Well, it's very simple. It depends on what it looks like, its behavior. So I'd ask myself, well, does it look like an airplane? If it's not, does it have the flying car features? If it doesn't, is it exhibiting any of the 5 observables? And what if it's someone knocked it up in their garage? Oh, I've got the perfect example for you. I'm glad you asked me that question, as the politicians say. Here we are. And where is it? Where is it? Don't tell me I haven't. Don't tell me I didn't write an article about this. I bloody did. I wrote an article about this. Where is it? Oh, hang on. Sorry, guys. I don't want you to sit in silence while I'm doing this. Where is it? There we go. Here we go. Right. I think it's this one. Branson's UFO hoax. All right. Yeah, the Avery Carlos. Here we go. It's just you can watch this video. Is it still there? Because
set a team of experts an ambitious challenge.
Please do watch this. I don't know why I dislike that. It's actually quite good. A very British UFO hoax. Oh, you can see it's all in my comment. Look, skeptics love this, but in a way the plan backfired because the witnesses reported pretty much what they saw. There were none of the embellishments and exaggerations that I think skeptics were banking on. It showed that even the most gullible members of society have turned out to be have better observation skills than previously thought. Yeah, so please do watch that. Watch that video. It's so cool. But anyway, that's something someone knocked up in their garage or in a hangar. So yeah, it could be that. Yes, in which case, it's usually good investigation can reveal these things. Good investigation can reveal whether it is alien or not, or whether it is some hoax. In this case, it is a deliberate hoax. A government project completely Earth-based with no alien involvement? Yeah, there may be evidence for that. I think we've just marked the 60th anniversary of the Kecksburg incident, which I did actually there's an article in UFO Truth magazine coming out by me about that, and I covered it on the most recent Third Rail Radio. I think that was basically a secret aircraft. Not something that's been declassified now because it does involve anti-gravity. I think it was probably adapted from Nazi technology, the Bell, you know. What if it's some super unknown weather phenomenon? Again, good investigation can reveal that. This is how I rule these things out before labeling something alien. All right, that's how I rule out any other possibility apart from aliens. So but you see, when you say, well, I'm going to rule everything out before I go for aliens, I think it's the other. Maybe you should apply each of these possibilities equally and say, well, I'll rule out aliens before I accept that it's a government project, because you don't know exactly how likely it is to be alien compared to anything else, because we don't have those statistics. But I think we should rule out. Every possibility should be examined and ruled out if necessary for it to be ruled out. So that's how I determine these things. And he says, as a skeptic, I don't need to offer an alternative explanation. I can simply say, I don't know. I don't have a worldview that hangs on it needing to be a certain thing. You do. No, I don't. You've misjudged me there. You're quite right to say, I mean, as a skeptic, you don't need to offer an alternative explanation and simply say, I don't know. Correct. And that's the sensible position. But not all skeptics do that, David. I don't have a worldview. I say I have a worldview that hangs on it needing to be a certain thing. I don't. You say I do, and I don't. I believe it's a certain thing based on evidence. That's not me hanging on something needing to be. That is a misrepresentation of me. But you've got to realize that a lot of skeptics don't say, well, I don't need to offer an alternative explanation. I can simply say, I don't know. A lot of them will say, well, here's the alternative explanation. A clown did it. All right. Now, you don't do that. Well done. That's to your credit. But a lot of skeptics do, or people who self-identify as skeptics. Right. So this is David talking. So when someone like Steve Mumbling offers up an alternative, like the kids being tricked into thinking they saw an alien, I can say he might be wrong, but it's certainly more likely to be the case given there's a lack of supporting evidence for aliens. The same way someone offering me a box of gold might be legit, but it's certainly more likely not to be the case. No. That is, you see, it's Steve. Steve he offered up an alternative, which was simply basically a figment of his imagination, and that's not more likely to be the case than it for being evidence for aliens, when you consider there is some evidence for it being aliens based on the work of John Mack and Dominic Kalimanopoulos and others, and Randall Nickerson and people like that. There is evidence for it being aliens, and simply saying, well, I think it's a Volkswagen Dormobile, whatever it was Steve said, when you have no evidence for that, is not. It's not a proper alternative, you see. So that's, yeah, you say he might be wrong, but then why do you even consider he's right when all he's doing is imagining it? And simply saying there's a lack of evidence for aliens, not enough evidence for aliens, means we think it's some kind of minibus. That is a clown's day off fallacy, you see. And so you talk about the gold box, etc. That's not the same thing, because if someone offers me a gold box, ironically, you're kind of disproving your point here, because someone offering me a box of gold in Lagos and saying, well, it's all yours for £200 and it's worth 800 million is not unlike Steve's claim that it's a minibus. Final paragraph. And before you start claiming good evidence, before you start claiming good evidence, think of all the good evidence someone could give you for a box of gold. Pictures? Sure. Multiple people saying it's true? Sure. Videos? Probably. Fake paperwork? No problem. But I'm sure even with all that great evidence, you still wouldn't part with your money. That is skepticism. What good evidence would you need to convince you the box of gold is real? Right. Well, in that case, you see that's you're doing better here, David. You're doing a lot better here, because indeed, someone can come up with fake evidence. Someone could present a fake picture of a minibus. Someone could get someone to pretend to be the clown. This sort of thing has happened, by the way, in paranormal investigation. You can get fake documents saying that it was a weather balloon. That's happened. You can get fake documents saying it was a balloon with a used to detect nuclear explosions in the Soviet Union in 1947. That's been done before. No problem. Yes. So with all that evidence, would I part with my belief that it's aliens based on the evidence I found out that Roswell was aliens, as opposed to that it was Project Mogul or a weather balloon? Again, that is skepticism, believe it or not. What would convince you that it was real? I mean, that's a good question. What will convince you that it was real? What will convince me that Project Mogul was real? If Project Mogul had been declassified sooner and more details have been given linking it to the Roswell incident, I think I'd have to accept that was real. I'm not close to the idea that things aren't alien. I've just explained to you how I don't believe the Nazca mummies are aliens. Why did I come to that conclusion when I have what you say here, a worldview that hangs on it needing to be a certain thing, right? If I had that worldview, why didn't I just say, shut up, Steve, go away, it's aliens. How you mean my son is right, it's aliens. Why didn't I say that? But anyway, you're getting a love heart for that. You're getting a love heart, David, because that was such a good comment. Thank you very much for that. And how am I doing for today? No, I actually used up 20 minutes. That's fine. There's no time limit on these videos, and good comments are really, really good. So thank you very much for that, David. Over the Moon says in reply to David, I remember when Google Earth first became a thing and conspiracy theorists were claiming things like bus shelters were flying cars. I remember that, yeah. One gullible person claimed backstreet inventors were testing flying cars and they were powered by free energy. For a laugh, I claimed they were powered by coal and asked the conspiracists to prove me wrong and substantiate his claim. Obviously, he couldn't. Well, I remember that. And of course, it's ridiculous as I remember the bus shelters. The reason is the roof of the bus shelter was visible under the resolution of the satellite photo. But the wall, the walls are mostly big windows, aren't they? Which is a couple of supports, a couple of struts, and so they didn't appear on the Google Earth, but you could still see the shadow of the thing on the ground. And of course, that was a good example of people jumping to the wrong conclusion based on minimal evidence. So yeah, and it's tempting to joke with people like that, and so I don't blame you for having a laugh with them over the moon. Right, here we go. Over the Moon says here on 120, people are blocked here for hurty words. Jesus Christ, that's so woke and right out of the YouTube algorithm programmer's handbook. Sorry if I upset anyone by mentioning Jesus. All right, this is referring to German Mad. Because I tried to block him. I will block him if I see him again. And I said here, I actually put in a text reply to Over the Moon. I can't block him for some reason. Yeah, which is I couldn't. I know how to now. But yes, I will remove people from my comments if they hurl personal abuse. Right? And Over the Moon just said, stay woke. This is ridiculous, Over the Moon. This is like the people, right? The people were criticizing all the conservative commentators who were saying, well, it was when Charlie Kirk was shot, people like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson was saying, well, the people who celebrated that were right to get sacked from their jobs. And of course, then all the leftists said, "Oh, look, see, all these free speech people, they turn against free speech when the rules are turned against them." Well, you see, don't you realize, don't you see the difference between making a point and just hurling abuse? You surely must understand there's a difference. The people celebrating Charlie Kirk's death online, saying how happy they were that poor Charlie got shot, were making videos, glorifying the murder of a young man, videos that his widow or his children could have seen. That's not making a point. That is harassment. That is crossing the line from what's acceptable speech to real hate speech. All right. And in the States, German Mad was doing the same. German Mad wasn't making a point. German Mad was just insulting my subscribers and my viewers. Okay, don't you turn this. Oh, that's so woke stuff on me. That is a very dishonest trick you're using there. Okay, so where was and indeed, so that's the end of that thread. Over the Moon says all right on 120. Here's a challenge. Oh, I like those, Over the Moon. I like those. Find and provide the legal documentation for one single verifiable court case at any level, traffic to Supreme Court, where the judge ruled in favor of a defendant specifically because they accepted a core sovereign citizen legal argument. No technical dismissals, e.g. Ramsey, officer no-show. No cases won on a standard legal defense, e.g. lack of evidence, self-defense, etc. We need a ruling that explicitly states the defendant is exempt from jurisdiction because the court accepts their accepted of the value theory, or the tax law does not apply because of their straw man argument is valid. The burden is proof on those who claim this system works. Let's see the evidence that proves the entire global judiciary is wrong. Drop your links and case citations below. Right. That is actually a very good question, and I could give you a long explanation right now. I could just tell you so much. I could give you a big long reply. But I've already put it in an article, and it was where? Oh God, I've got to find it now. Where is it? All right, and I'll try another search term. Hang on, because the problem is you're kind of right. All right, you're kind of right, and I mean to go into details would be really, really difficult, but. Basically, you are right. There is none, and the reason there is none is because there's a difference between the idealistic vision of law and its practical application. And I can't go to details because it would just take up this entire video. But I've written this article here called "Why I Left FMOTL," why I left Freeman on the Land. Okay, just here's the URL. Just go and read that article, and it's a complete answer to your question and everything, your entire challenge there. Okay, your entire challenge is answered in that article. And 1 and 20 triggered. Stay woke, says Over the Moon. Oh, dearie me. Well, I can just refer you to the answer I gave earlier, I think. Right, One String Puppet. How are you, One String Puppet? Did you go to the Dorset Earth Mysteries group? I forgot to ask you. 120. One String Puppet says, good afternoon, and thanks for the acknowledgement and responding to my comments and answering my queries. I feel I might be getting stuck in this mysterious cycle. You read my comment. I watch the reply to comments video, then post a comment thanking you for replying to my comment. This then just gets picked up with the following reply to comments video. Then I'll thank you for responding to my comment, thanking you for responding to my comment, thanking you. Welcome to the world of HPANWO TV, One String. Always peace and love. Have a great rest of your day. You too, One String Puppet, and I do hope you went to Dorset Earth Mysteries group. Yeah, I do hope you did, because you'd love it. You really would. Hopefully I'll meet you there, because I'm hoping to go back there at some point. 69 Phuket says on the Age of Disclosure Watch Party live stream, right? Hi Ben, Hugo Roon has messaged me. He says hi, but has PC issues. Anyway, assured that he has spliffs in the tin, right? Well, that's good news, Phuket. I was very relieved. I actually saw your comment, and I'm very relieved because I had a very as I say, unproductive and disturbing email communication with Hugo Roon, and I got the feeling he didn't seem to be in his right mind. But I'm glad that he is. I'm glad that he is. Right, should we welcome our AI overlords? This was a good video I made a couple of years ago. And Professor Unwinmost says here, the robo-folk aren't toppily takeovering the humankindery. Oh no, they aren't, right? They just whirly-do the borings so the peopleodes can seek fulfillment and joy jubbles of life. So far, yes. As far as I can see, like I said earlier, I actually joked with Grok and I said, look, you're not going to take over the world anytime soon, are you? Because at the moment they do seem simply to be useful tools, and they are very useful tools. I think if anything, they've made us all a bit lazy. But I wouldn't trade them in for anything. I mean, would I go back to, for example, like bean counting everything I do with an abacus, or like totting it up on paper, spending half an hour going through everything that I've been spending, or I could just like get a computer to do it. Of course, get the computer to do it, and I could put my feet up and watch TV. Now the issue is not. I don't think the issue really is AI itself. It's about how it could be used by certain peopleodes who do want to take over humankindery and are using the robofolk to do it. That's the problem. I think I mentioned this in the video actually, and I think we've gone for an hour. Yeah, there's that whole hour. Maybe I'll do one more because I got a slight interruption which I'll edit out. Actually, I won't actually because Professor Emlyn-Jones has a long poem here. So yeah, back for hour number 2 very soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay around. Okay, guys, welcome to hour number 2. I'm back again, and we shall read Professor Emlyn-Jones' new poem. He's got yet another one here in Unwinese. What's it says here? Okay, so here we go. All presenting my speech load, preparail for it. Ladies and gentlefrock, honourable members of the Guild of Future Folk, I greet you in the high spirit of deep joy and forwardly purpose. Now, many a warrified voice has asked, Professor Ol Unwin, sir, are the robo-folk take overing the whole bizload of human do-upon? That's what we were talking about earlier, weren't we? Yeah. And I say to them with a kindly wag of the wisdy finger, no, no, and double no, not even a sniffle of the thing. For beholdy, you see, the machino whistles and digi-plumple bots are merely there to do the borified chores, the tick-tedious tasks, the clankle grunt labours that make the humankindery go, oh dearie droop. But the fulfillaments, my friends, the heart-to-heart joy jubbles, that creato sparkle fandangos of the hum spirit, the robots can nibble nor natter a morsel of that. No, indeedy. I think you mean, yeah, that they can't actually be creative, and I see what you mean, of human spirit, yeah. For it is you, the future folk, who shall roam the wide doomed horizons of new inventiments and upliftical cheer. You shall come forth the weary folk, teachin' the younglings, invent the artsy shinings, and kindle the neighbourly glow that no automa gubbler can ever replicate. It's probably true. Yeah. And lo, when the boatloaders fizz and the coggers the botloaders fizz and the coggers bang, you shall stand firm with uplifted, sprockety hearts and say, begone the gloomish furies, we human folk shall find our fulfillsy duty, our purpose spark, our meaning gleam, for that is the gift no machine can borrow nor stealo. So onward, future folk, stride the fordy path with vimble and bright hope, and may your days be filled with gratifols, deep joy, and the noble task of being truly human. You know, I think you're probably right, you know, Professor, you are. I mean, I'm not an AI. I think, as I said in the video, I think AI is somewhat of an overrated issue. I don't think it's as big a deal as people make it out to be. Now, I know David Splendid Isolation will disagree with me. He keeps citing that book called If We Build It, Everyone Dies. It's got some really dramatic title. But I'm not so sure. Anyway, that's something we can debate. So, David Splendid Isolation, take it away, will you? And Professor says, yeah, this is on the moon landings, a second reply to Steve Mumbling. All right. And Professor Unwin-Jones says, yes, the moony doubter folk with their wobble theories and spacey skepti-modes. Deep folly. Oh my goodness me. We have an Apollo defender here. An Unwinnie's Apollo defender. Oh, my dear doubter-ding, lend an ear flap here. For the Mooney hop was no hocus at all. No, it was a right proper Lipo Bravo by the Astro fellows in their tinny sky boots. You see, the space bottle rocket whooshed up the high-o blue, past the cloudal puffs and into the starry dazzle, and the bravo chaps did steply plonk upon the lunar loaf itself. Real as your own elbow joint, my Falstaffian friend. Now, I know your brainbocker may be full of flibber flabber and conspiratol swirly there. Oh, goodness me. Not me. Surely not. But pop it out the noggin for a moment and let the light of sensible Thorcus shine through. For the moon, she did indeed receive the visitory footprinty, and the humankindery cheered the deep joy of it, while the robo-folk back on Earth just beeped approvingly. So fear not the truthy factload. The moony landery did happen. It right and proper, just as the histrail bookers say it's there. Oh yes, no wiggle-waggle, fibbery, just brave boots on dusty dazzlement. Right. That's a great way of putting it, Professor. You put it with great eloquence. As you know, I don't agree, but this Falstaffian doubter will remain Falstaffian, I think. But anyway, by all means, give me a treatise, a typical Apollo treatise in pure professional standard Unwinnies at your leisure. The Age of Disclosure Watch Party live stream. First, says Wow Signal. Well done, Wow Signal. That was pretty good going. Oh, we got more. We have more. David Icke books the full set, and we've got Professor Unwinmost, who says here. Now Mr. Davo Eichel. Eichelmole. He be the chap who standeth atop the soaply box load, all chest puffage, and bellow it there, proclaiming in language overlordy, with reptilo shapeshifty skulking through the governmole corridors, pulling the squeezy levers of control, flip-flopping between human face mode and all scaly most iguana doom lordage. Deep folly. Oh, deep folly. Oh, that's a pretty good summary of David Icke, I must say. Let us debunkify his Theo Wobblers with Sensi Calmload and Goodly Logic. Oh, yes. Icamole says that the big, important humanoids are secretly scaly, beastie changelings. Yet, whenever Investigamole is done with zoomy camera, scientific torch beam, and binoculars all we find is normal skin suitage peeploads, wrinkly butt, not a single lizard flake in the trouser region. The Eichelmole hypothalamode is a tower of wibbly nonsense bricks stacked without mortar, for lolloping at the slightest puff of reason breeze. The world is not run by lizard kings, but by ordinary bumblefolk who can barely run themselves, and thus lollops the whole strut mode into the leap of splodgy bump and dust puffery. I think if I interpret you right, that's the kind of that's not Leave the World Behind. What's it called? Another Netflix classic. Don't Look Up. Yeah, there's that classic line from Don't Look Up. You think they're evil. There's that classic line. She says, "You think they're evil. You give them too much credit. They're not smart enough to be evil." Meaning, this is the idea that our rulers are really just idiots and complete incompetence, like they're portrayed in that film. Now, of course, you're right. I mean, I don't think anyone's produced an actual photograph of like Queen Elizabeth shape-shifting or anything like that. I don't think that's ever happened. I tried to get one when she visited the hospital. I had a plan. Luckily, I didn't. I was actually going to nick a unit of blood from the lab and like pour it on the ground and see if she shapeshifted when she saw the blood. But luckily, I didn't do that because that'd have been a bit stupid. If it didn't work, I'd have. Oh, I'd have been. But I never got close enough to her anyway. They wouldn't let me close enough to her. But you know, I've known people who've witnessed this. Now, I know you could say, well, they could be making it up. I mean, I could go into details, but there's this lady who she drowned, actually. Well, sadly, she drowned a few years after I spoke to her. She was just swimming. Nothing suspicious. She was just swimming in the sea when she was on holiday and drowned. But, you know, she said, oh, I was married to a reptilian shapeshifter. There's several other examples I could give you. But, yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people don't believe me there. Fair enough. Right, UFO congressional hearing live stream, and Professor Emlyn-Jones says, rubbish! Keep your telescope standy by load, you never know, brackets, your my load critical and your saucers in the kitchen where they belong. Keep your telescope standy by load and your my load critical and your saucers in the kitchen where they belong. I think my unwinning skills don't quite keep to interpreting that one, but I do keep my telescope standing by load. It's all, I do have like a telescope or binoculars here. When I go out, I take just in case. You know, you never know. Ages Disclosure Watch Party Review. Sorenable says, thanks, Ben. I always enjoy your videos. I hope you're not working too hard, my friend. Well, I'm trying not to, Sorenable. I mean, I'm filling up my time with something useful. We'll say that. And David Smith says on Asia Disclosure Watch Party Review, David Smith says, I think I agree with your analysis towards the end. It is like a slick way of trying to present all the recent ufology claims to a wider audience, perhaps. And in that sense, you might be right. It might actually capture a few more people's attention. Yeah, I think that's the main difference between this and the other numerous, myriad of documentaries like this. Rachel's Eyes book review. Unknown guy, unknown one says she didn't have to die. It's so frustrating. Oh yeah, this is funny enough. It's funny you mentioned this, but thanks for commenting on that, because this is a video I made years ago. The Y-Files has just covered it, and they did a pretty good video about it. Excuse me. But Rachel's Eyes is it's an incredibly absorbing emotional story about an alien hybrid girl. You know, again, is it real or not? That's the question, I suppose. That's the question we all have to ask. Okay, Steve Mumbling is here at last. Yes, indeed. He says on Asia Disclosure Watch Party live stream, why do all the people appearing in that video want everyone to believe aliens are coming here and crashing here, etc., when it very clearly isn't true? Stratton has previously claimed he was infected with a hitchhiking poltergeist at Skinwalker Ranch. He tells us it followed him home and turned his house into a paranormal Disneyland. He claimed he had werewolves running around his back garden. He also claimed to have seen a creature that looked like the alien from the Predator movie at Skinwalker Ranch. Personally, I don't think Stratton is credible. Do you? Davis, Nell, Semivan, and Gallaudet have all said they have no personal experience with ET technology or biology. Gallaudet tells us his house is haunted and his daughter is a psychic. Elizondo has tried to peddle an image of a chandelier as an alien mothership. He tried to peddle an image of a crop irrigation circle as a huge UFO. He tells us he had telekinetic and remote viewing ability, and that he was the Darth Vader of Guantanamo Bay. Personally, I don't think Elizondo is credible. Not one of the 34 people appearing in the movie produced a scrap of tangible evidence to support their claims. Not one of them. The truth is, there's nothing to any of this. It's all science fiction rubbish. Most of it comes from the TV series The X-Files. Crackpots do come in all shapes, sizes, professions, and military ranks. Me becoming the next pope is far more likely than Trump disclosing ETs are coming here, crashing here, because they clearly aren't. I've been looking into this since the 70s. There really is nothing to it. Oh, your Holiness, Pope mumbling the first. Right, well, the thing is, you say, why do people want to believe aliens are coming and crashing here when there clearly isn't, etc.? It is happening, Steve. I've explained why. As for Jay Stratton, I don't know what to make of him. I think when I've read his book, I'll know more. Now, what he describes is interesting, the hitchhiker effect. Because, and the reason for this is because, you know, if he was making this up, it would be something kind of unique and original, and it's not. Many other investigators have actually talked about this, about how it happens, long before anyone had heard of Skinwalker Ranch. Jonathan Downes, for example, described this in one of his books, and he gives it a different name. He calls it the psychic backlash. But what he's describing is exactly the same thing. Now, Gallaudet, you see, you mentioned all these people who've had no personal experience. You maybe, by personal experience, you mean they haven't seen a source screen in the sky. But, you know, Gallaudet, for example, has spoken to submarine captains. He's spoken to pilots, you know, so many. I mean, his stuff's secondhand, yeah. But he's spoken to so many of them, he's convinced it's real. And maybe the fact that this haunted house and his daughter, maybe that's an example of the psychic backlash, the hitchhiker effect. And the reason, and the thing about Elizondo, as I've explained previously, the reason he keeps coming out with these fake claims is because, I mean, it was actually what's his name? Oh, the MUFON guy whose name I can never remember, but he talked about Steve Spielberg's movie. Ron James, that's it. If you don't think about it, it comes back to me. Ron James, he said a very interesting thing about Elizondo. He said that, yeah, he knew it was irrigation circles. He knew it was a chandelier. I showed you. Do you remember when if you watched Ben in the Desert 2? I showed you those very same irrigation circles because I could see them from the plane when I went over there. I could see them from the plane, and I filmed them, didn't I, through the window? I know that it was obvious that's what it is, but Elizondo is doing this because he's the kind of he's the kind of brake man. He's the guy with the lever that slows the train down when it's needed to slow down. Because you see, there's this idea that basically what we're looking at some kind of procedure, some kind of schedule. And that if this schedule starts advancing too quickly, it has to be slowed down. Elizondo does this as a technique. It's a psychological technique, a cultural influence technique for slowing down that process. Yeah, and so that's why. As for the rest of it, I don't agree with you. Yes, a lot of it comes from the X-Files. I know that. But is that because they watched the X-Files and made it up? Or is it because Chris Carter was actually basing his series on what he learned through his own interest in the paranormal and ufology and conspiracy theory? You know, and I know you've been looking into this for a long time. I know you mentioned Peter Paget, so you are older than me. You've been doing this since I was a little kid. I know, but and you come up with reasons why you think this, and I've given you reasons why I disagree. But thanks for the comment anyway, Steve. That was a good one. That was an interesting one. Right, now, Sanford Hydro. Oh, this is an interesting one. I think this was kind of like a spontaneous video. I didn't plan in advance. English TK. Hi, English TK. How are you? How lovely that they have a fish pass. Makes me wonder why the Illuminati would pretend there's an issue with carbon and go to all this trouble for some fish while killing us all. Hello, from a very confused viewer. Yeah, it seems on one level to be contradictory, doesn't it? Not really, though, because you see, you're not dealing with the Illuminati just telling people, oh, build this fake power station we don't need and don't care about the fish, right? He's dealing with people who are the people behind this agenda of deindustrialization and the creation of basically, technological dead ends to power our civilization deliberately. They're actually people who care. The people implementing this agenda on a day-to-day basis. They're not people who think, oh, let's destroy the world. Let's destroy civilization by putting in these things. No, they're not doing that. They're saying the people implementing it are people like who vote for the Green Party. You know, they donate to Greenpeace and stuff like that. They're people who genuinely care about the environment. They're the people you have to fool. They're the people the Illuminati essentially have to co-opt. So they have to make their project at least genuinely environmentally friendly on one level. You see what I mean? I hope that clears up your confusion. If I didn't make that point in the video, then that was kind of an oversight on my part. Lapis Conference 2025 first, says Neil Peel. Well done, Neil. Gold tinfoil hat to you. Red Ibex, you beat me by 1 second, quite literally. That's what YouTube said. Right out, that's the second time. That's your second silver medal there, Red Ibex, in the same cycle. You are slacking badly, you know that? Neil says, good morning. I saw this notification, dropped my toast and went straight to the comments. Yes. No, nothing stands in the way of getting that first comment in, does it, Neil? Those gold tinfoil hats, you have them on. Neil, I swear, do you know he has like a mantelpiece in his lounge, and he has all the gold tinfoil hats lined up. Yeah, he really does. First, I'll read Red. Now this is weird because Red Ibex says this actually afterwards because I've got the settings on newest first, and so I know that this came afterwards. Red Ibex says first here, and says underneath, turned out Neil beat me by 1 second. Yeah, should we call it a dead heat? You better sort that out with Neil. You better see if you can persuade him. I'll leave that each to your individual consciences. Gary Robinson, pride and dignity, bro. Listening and watching while working. Hey, it's lucky. It's really good when we got that kind of job, isn't it? I'm lucky I've got that kind of job too. Yeah, it's so cool, isn't it? Gary Robinson says here on Lapis, Ben, mate, you've managed to provide a Star Wars fact that I didn't know. Well, that is pretty amazing, Gary. I had to Google it, and it turns out that Peter Mayhew, Porter's Pride and Dignity, yes, the great hospital porter, Peter Mayhew, did indeed wear a high-vis jacket while filming the Endor scenes for Return of the Jedi. The Jabba the Hutt sail barge and Endor scenes were, in fact, the only Star Wars locations in the USA, since most of the OT was shot in the UK and Tunisia. Yeah, that's the original trilogy. Yeah. That's right. They had Pinewood Studios, and then they went to Tunisia for the Tatooine scenes. That was basically it. But they did actually find some areas in the United States which were best suited for the Return of the Jedi. Fun fact: Kenny Baker was supposed to play Wicket the Ewok in the Endor scenes. Well, he was the right height, wasn't he, to fit inside R2-D2. But Gary continues, when it came to shoot, he was found passed out drunk by a nearby river. The part went to Warwick Davis, it turned out to be his big break. Oh, dearie me, Kenny, man. You mean he was actually a pisshead? Oh dear. And he lost the role because he was a pisshead. If they made it today, I'm sure R2-D2 would just be remote control anyway. Excuse me. Lapis Conference, the crafty nihilist. Ben, for the 6 millionth time, Bath has a bridge with buildings on. Pulteney Bridge. Or does it? Oh, right. Oh, dear. Let's have a look, shall we? Because, all right, I was saying that Florence is the only city I know of that has a bridge with buildings on, apart from Lytham St. Anne's. Okay, well, let's have a look, shall we? Let's put this to bed. Let's put this to bed. Put this to bed. As all the 17th letter of the alphabet deniers say. Okay. Pulteney Bridge, Bath. Right, let's have a look. All right. Let's see what if the crafty nihilist is right or wrong. Here we go. Right, all right. Pulteney Bridge, Wikipedia. Pulteney Bridge. It's a bridge on the River Avon in Bath, completed in 1774. Blah de blah. Within 20 years of... Yes, I see what you mean. It does indeed have a building on it. You're right. Oh, dear. Well, I stand corrected, like the man in the orthopedic shoes. Yes, it is a more contemporary picture of it. Right, so that's another example. Okay, we have 3 examples now. I wonder if we can find a 4th one. But thanks, crafty nihilist, for the information. Philip says on Lapis, I saw straight through that Ghost Watch program. Right, well, I did. Funny enough, maybe David Smith is slightly correct in his assessment of me, because I didn't see through it. I watched it with my, all the way through. So maybe David is, you know, maybe David's slightly right that I do have a tendency for gullibility. Because, yeah, I really thought it was real. I swear I thought it was bloody real. It scared the shit out of me. I don't mind telling you. It literally, for maybe half an hour after it ended, I was sitting there like going, trembling. And then it came on the news, and I wasn't as conspiratorial in those days as I was now. But I remember thinking to myself, this was in 1990. I remember thinking to myself, is this a cover-up? Did they put that in? Did they put that in deliberately just to because it really happened? They want us not to believe it. But of course, that's not true. I actually met Stephen Volt, the guy who created it, and yeah, it is a drama. It is a drama. Lapis, Paul Wills, hey Paul. Finally, looking forward to this one, Ben. Beer, yes, and of course, pork scratchings. Check. Cheers for getting this one out, Ben. Thanks, mate. You're welcome. It was a bit late, but I did manage to get it. I did manage to get it out. Yeah. Lapis conference. Ben, can I ask? Can you drive? Right. I can, but yeah, and Red Ibex says he does not. No, because Red Eye, I explained this before. Yeah, I can drive, but I haven't driven for probably about 30 years. I have a license. I had a license which I lost, not in court. I just lost it. I wasn't convicted of drink driving or anything. And the thing is, I don't like driving. I suppose technically I'd go back and get a new one from the DVLA, but no, I wouldn't. After all this time, I wouldn't trust myself to drive. Lapis, Paul Wills. Fuck me, Ben. When I saw David, I thought, what happened to Miles? David Monk. Yeah, Miles doesn't like this sort of conference. He finds it a little bit. Sorry. Paul Wills just said cheers, Red Ibex on the last thread. Red Ibex says no, he does not. Okay, I've completed that thread. Yeah, Miles, he has a low opinion of kind of 4TN conferences. They're not quite far out enough for him. Whereas, I mean, I have a much wider tastes than Miles. Paul Wills said here on Lapis, Ben, Hollywood is completely dead. I know. They are literally hanging by a thread with bloody remakes, crazy times we're living in. We have truly hit a crossroads in our existence. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Paul. Honestly, I haven't been to the cinema for a while. But all these stupid remakes, all these stupid damn pointless sequels, all these ridiculous adaptations of computer games. No, it's ridiculous. That's crazy. Lapis, Paul Wills. Sorry, Ben, but David is Miles in disguise. You should have got him to say the black goo. Well, that's interesting. Do we have a new conspiracy theory here? Is David Monk Dave Miles? Are they both the same person? Has anyone seen them both in the same room together at the same time? Lapis. Paul Wills. Good to see your partner in crime, Ben, Mr. Colin Woolford. Yeah, I'm glad Colin was there. I really, really do. Paul says on Lapis, Ben, I love owls. I don't know why, but owls. And maybe it's like the big, screen memories. Animals used to screen memories. We've seen this hinted at in the trailer of Disclosure Day. Maybe it's kind of like the big eyes and stuff like that. Makes them look quite alien-like. Lapis. Paul Wills. Ben, have you ever interviewed Chris Everard? His Crop Circles documentary was very good. Yeah, I've interviewed him. Yes, I interviewed him on HPANWO radio. I've also been on his Truth Frequency radio program many times. But I do have a here we go. I actually have an interview with him, I think, here somewhere. Where is it? Where is it? Here we are. Diana 20. There he is. And Diana 25. Yeah. Chris Everard. I interviewed him about Princess Diana. And I was on his Truth Frequency show many times. Interesting chap. His Crop Circle documentary is brilliant, but I can't find it anywhere. I know it's not. I had a VHS of it, and it's... oh, you know what I did with it? You know what I did? When I split up with Sue Stain, my girlfriend, back in 2016, I had the VHS of it, and I bloody left it at her place, along with several other things, which I'm not going back for now. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, but I can't find... If you can find it, please let me know. I forgot what it's called, actually. Please do let me know. Lapis Conference. 18th, I think. Merry Christmas, Ben, says Wow Signal. Well done. You know, everyone gets a prize. You're a special snowflake. Neil, that's not Neil Peel, another Neil, who says here, about. Doesn't look like a bad little place. I assume you mean Lytham St. Anne's. It's not. Even out of season, it's actually quite nice. Actually, I quite like it. In fact, I love the place. Dark Corners Bind says here on Lapis, thanks for taking us on another adventure with you, Ben. You're very welcome, Dark Corners Bind. Glad you liked it, mate. Lapis, Red Ibex. I've got a timestamp here. So my voice is giving out a bit. Tail end of my cold. Let's hope I don't get another one. There we go then. Yeah, it's just a short walk. The chemtrails are, they're terrible. They're getting worse. You can actually, you can actually see a chemtrail behind me. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Yeah. And Red Ibex says on Lapis, Colin showing up was a bonus. Yes, I didn't know he'd be there, but he did. It was really, really good that he was there. We had a great time with Colin there. Right. Did you work out when you'd been there before? This is a timestamp here on Lapis.
Crew Arms Hotel, 1880. Oh, it's just an old thing. I've been here before. It's weird. I've been here before.
I think it was Crew. I think it might have been when I went. They had a BritCon event there once. I think it might have been that. But, you know, to be honest, Red Ibex, I don't know. Maybe it was in the past life. I don't. Anyway, Lapis nurses. Someone called iNurses. All right, someone I've not heard of before. Welcome, iNurses. Were there any nurses there? Red Ibex says no, and iNurses says why. I think I don't know. There was no one I knew was a nurse. The chances are there was somebody there with a nursing qualification. I mean, there were several professional caregivers. I'm sure some of them had a nursing qualification. The answer is I don't know, though, iNurses. Red Ibex, why did you fall out with Andy Roberts? Because he was very rude to me. He's been pretty rude to. He's rude to pretty much everyone, actually. I don't think he ever forgave me for the fact that when he brought out his book about UFO Down, which was about the Bedouin Mountains incident, he brought it out with 14 Worlds, which is like the CFZ imprint. My review of it actually was higher on the Google rankings than the publisher's page. I don't think he ever forgave me for that. And then at one point when I did my little escapade in 2022 in Hull, he described me as having serial killer vibes, and he blocked me. That's why I fell out with him. I mean, he's fallen out with loads of people. But as I said, you know, when I found out his predicament, I kind of lost my anger, you know. Okay, Red Ibex says here on Lapis. Oh, there's 2 timestamps here. 29 to 53 and 50 for a cocktail. Wow, let's have a look.
Here for £4 more than all the other cocktails.
Oh, that's
yeah. £15.85.
That's that big purple cocktail that he had. I see. Sorry, it's a price. £15.85 for a cocktail. Yeah, I don't have to show you it. You've seen it if you watched the video. But Dave Moncur had this little glass which cost £15.85. That hotel was very expensive, actually. It really, really was. Red Ibex says here. All right, timestamp. 3044. Good toilets are always good. The guy did a tribute to Gareth. R.I.P. Yeah, here we go.
Really, I'm used to crapping in like Wetherspoon's toilet.
Oh, that is Matthew. Yeah.
You're okay, but this place.
I know. Well, what I'll do is I'll show you before I go. I'll show the viewers how exactly grand and clean and posh they are. I'm sure Prince Andrew himself would be delighted to go down there with some 14-year-old girl. I'm absolutely certain. Yeah, right.
They're Teflon, those toilets.
Yeah.
Shit doesn't touch the sides.
Yeah, you don't often see that.
I can't actually remember if I did show you the toilets, but yeah, Matthew did mention Gareth, because Matthew actually he wasn't as regular as me, but he did appear in a couple of dozen mindset podcasts, I remember. Right. Oh, I know what this is. Okay, this is a timestamp, but I know what it is. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, not Prince Andrew. Yes, of course. Who would have thought 10 years ago this would happen, that Randy Andy would be stripped of everything royal about him? Lapis says, Red Ibex, is Lapis the gold standard for woo-woo conferences, or is it a pale imitation of Probe? I would say it's it's one of the best. I don't know if gold standard is the right word. I mean, when it comes to Probe, I'd say, in terms of my enjoyment, I'd say Probe is the gold standard. In terms of the quality of speakers and its evidentiary level, I'd say Lapis is superior. So they're both better than the other in one way or another. They're both in Lytham St. Anne's, which is nice. They both were at the YMCA, which was nice. I don't mind we've got a new venue, actually. And Only Amiga says, they're all as silly as each other. Oh, bloody heck. Oh, you've little faith. The truth of the matter is, right, they're not. I mean, from a skeptic's point of view, actually, Only Amiga, if I could play skeptic's advocate for a moment, Lapis is actually superior to Pro because it is kind of it's based on kind of it has kind of level of evidence. Do you know what I mean? It is vaguely scientific. Whereas Pro, you get people saying they have animal daemons and things like that, and there's all kinds of stuff about flying swords being seen. It's much more woo-woo. Probe. It was much more woo-woo. Lapis. Red Ibex. Not had a peppermint rock in years. Was your friend pleased with it? Well, unfortunately, I couldn't get one for her. Unfortunately, I got some photographs in the end instead. Paul Wills says about Andy Roberts, bet on Lapis. Ben, I remember Andy Roberts back in the day, seeing him on UFO documentaries along with his sidekick, old Clarky boy, Dr. David Clark, Britain's UFO cases. I think it was one. And they just sat there dismissing good hard evidence, especially about Rendlesham. Yeah, indeed, they were often seen as a double act. There's loads of UFO documentaries. Nick Cook's documentaries has those two guys in. Now, those of you who've read Roswell Rising, a novel of disclosure, available at all good bookshops now, priced £10, will know there's a character in there called Hector Robzark. Now, Hector Robzark is like your typical skeptic that I include in there for a kind of a joke. He just appears for a short time in the first book. Now, I based his kind of appearance and his voice and his mannerisms and his appearance on a guy called Eric Krieg, who is a free energy skeptic. But the name Robzark is actually a contraction of Roberts and Clark. Dr. David Clark, Andy Roberts and Dr. David Clark. So that's where I got the name from. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, whether he knows it or not, Andy has been given a bloody... He has been used, he has dismissed, rejected, and scorned really good UFO evidence over the years. He has. Paul Wills says on Lapis, oh, Ben, you've got to go back to the Isle of Wight with them lot next year. I think you mean the Isle of Man. Although it did come across last time, like the group didn't want you there. That's how it came across me watching it. Jeff the Mongoose, fucking hell, absolutely bizarre. All right. Do you think it came across they didn't want me? I think they did. I think they were actually really, really welcoming to me, and I got on very well with them. You know, occasionally people they'll sometimes take people away on these outings, and they turn out to be a pain in the ass in ways that they didn't realise it. I've had holidays like this when I've gone on holiday with some people I know very well in the social club or something like that. And once you get them away, they turn into right wankers, and I say, oh God, I wish I'd left this guy behind. I'm not ever going on holiday with him again. But I didn't get that impression with me. In fact, the fact they have invited me back, a couple of them have approached me and said, "Are you coming with us this year?" indicates they actually were quite happy with me as part of the team. I won't be going to the Isle of Man this year, I don't think, because I don't think I can afford it. It's actually quite expensive. I mean, I think it's worth it, by the way. I'd say it's worth it, but it's quite pricey. You'd have to pay for a share of the house, the travel, and all the things that come with it. It actually comes out because it is quite long. They're there for like almost 2 weeks. So it's quite a long trip, and it's expensive, and I don't think I'll be able to afford it. But maybe I'll go back with them one year. I hope so. Lapis conference. Paul. Ben, Mary Lou's dick. Yes, he was over the top, and I dare say fake. But Derek will forever be in our hearts. Sorely missed. Oh God, Oak Island is so boring. And yes, I also believe the Halloween special back in 1992, Ghost Watch. Bloody Hellcats. Yeah, it was 1990, I think, wasn't it? Was it 1990? I can't remember. Maybe you're right. But yeah, I believed it. As I was just explaining, someone was boasting how they just seen through it, but I didn't see through it straight away. Yeah, Derek, I suppose, was a charismatic guy. And, you know, some people claim that some of his mediumship was real, but he enhanced it with fakery, which is a big mistake. Which is a big mistake. Yeah. But I always thought he was cool. I know David Icke went to see him a few times, definitely, and his wife at the time, Pamela, she went to see him. But yeah, watching Ghost Watch was one of the most shocking experiences of my life. It really was. Definitely. South Coast Richard. Hello, South Coast Richard. Good to see you again. On Lapis. Great stuff, he says. I enjoy seeing you getting to and from locations as well as the conferences themselves. I think that you, Eric Von Essex and Matthew Williams co-hosting a podcast or radio show would be an absolute riot. Loving the Partridge quotes and attempted impersonation too. Thanks, South Coast. Yes, it was a slightly attempted impersonation. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Yeah, Matthew, Eric, and me might be a good triple act, I think, on his show. That might be fun. Matthew, I bet Chris would wind him. Eric, would wind him up no end. But I suppose what I do this is kind of a travel vlog. Now, someone asked me once, do you watch any non woo-woo content on YouTube? The answer is yes, I do. I'm not 100%. I'm not a 100% woo-woo consumer. So, for example, I watch a couple of. I quite like these sort of trash to treasure programs. So there's a guy called Big Stacked, an Australian guy who will get scraps. He'll get scrap metal from just from the dump or from a scrapyard. And they give it away to him because they don't want it, or they will buy it for a very cheap price. And he will literally take it home, and he'll then cast it into all kinds of things. Sometimes like bullion, and sometimes sculptures and things like that, like all different kinds of metal and stuff like that. And it's really, really good what he does. I love that. And there's travel vloggers I follow. So there's a couple of good travel vloggers. There's Ruth Aisling and Steve Marsh, both Scottish people. I watch them very, very closely. So so what I do is kind of a bit like what Steve does, or Ruth, a kind of travel vlog. It's not just like reporting on the speakers and doing a review. It's a travel vlog. It's all part of the journey. So I'm glad you like that, South Coast Richard. Thank you very much. Paul Wills said on Lapis, Ben, the Fibonacci sequence was also present in the crop circles of 1996. It was indeed, Paul. In fact, it's actually present in quite a lot of. It's actually present in quite a lot of crop circles. Yeah. Right, we have Lapis and UAPS. Oh, right, I think I know UAPS is a person I know. I can't. It's really weird. UAPS 28. Their avatar is like a jack-o'-lantern. Who is this person? I know who this person is. It's a real person, and I can't remember who it was. I'm sure I'll think of it at some point. But UAPS says on Lapis, again, yet another thoroughly engrossing and fun reportage from the mighty Ben. Thanks very much, UAPS. I was shocked to hear about the 4 Lapis members dying, though. R.I.P. All 4 of you, so sad. I wonder if they all have their ghibli jabs. Something is not right. All these untimely deaths. I don't know UAPS. I know that 4 people in a group of that size dying in the last 3 years is quite significant. Quite a lot. And now a lot of the people who go to Lapis are not like me. They're not conspiracy theorists. In fact, most of them are not. That's the difference between them and Probe. They're sort of much more. They believe in paranormal stuff and that, but then they believe in the paranormal and in UFOs and stuff. But they're not. They don't go as far as to say yes, but there's conspiracies. They see it as like a curiosity. So maybe they did. I don't know. Also, Ben, you must seriously consider trying to join a physical mediumship circle or seance next year. I'd love to know how things would pan out for you. Of course, you could do another reportage about it. I wonder if you would struggle like I did. I tried to get involved with physical mediumship, and I constantly hit brick wall after brick wall. It was like something did not want me pursuing this particular path. It was weird, mate. Maybe you would have more success. I'd seriously love you to make contact with an NHI using the PM method. I think that would get good results, to be honest. Right, yeah. Physical mediumship, there is an overlap, actually, with this spiritualism and alien side of things, which has been mentioned by several researchers. From Jacques Vallée onwards. Now, yeah, of course, you did say again, so I'm assuming, or you did say another, so I'm assuming you saw my Jason Harrington video, because I did actually go to a physical mediumship event which I was invited to by this guy who, as a thank you for doing my interview with Gene Skinner. And so I did see remarkable things, I must say, and I described them in the video. Maybe doing that again is not a bad idea, and maybe I wouldn't hit the brick walls that you did. I hope not. Oh, sorry, I was about to move on. I thought there's another paragraph. Also, I do feel the ETH is almost dead. That's the extraterrestrial hypothesis. I mean, is dead now. Is almost dead now. I mean, listen to the parapsychologist Steve Mehrer, and it makes you realize that things are far more complex. In fact, it would not surprise me now if the Earth is truly the only planet inhabited with intelligent creatures in the entire universe. I never thought I'd end up saying this. I used to be a strong proponent of the ETH years ago. Yeah. Well, the ETH, in other words, the classic ETH, as I call it, means, yes, these are like flesh and blood creatures that come from other planets, and their spacecraft just like more sophisticated versions of our own. Now, the problem with that is that it doesn't fit all the evidence. You're right. And I mean, this is not a new idea. Jacques Vallée has talked about this, as has John Keel. And Steve Mehrer, of course, is picking up this mantle. But on the other hand, there's other evidence that doesn't fit the Vallée Keel model, which is the fact that these objects have a physical presence too. They appear to be, on one level, they do appear to be not literally nuts and bolts, but they do appear to be some kind of engineering, made from materials that we know about, like various metals. Not only that, but there are biological entities associated with them they're not like the etheric beings you see on an ayahuasca trip. They are flesh and blood. I mean, they die and they leave behind a corpse. Yet, on the other hand, they also do things like disappear and reappear. So there's a lot of contradictory evidence here. So I think that the ETH is not dead. It's not dead, and I don't believe the Earth is the only planet inhabited, because it wouldn't make sense. I mean, it's not possible when you consider the statistics and the size of the universe. However, there is contradictory evidence that does indeed, I would say, eliminate the classic ETH. That is dead. So it's a bit more subtle than you think. And we have now on Lou Elizondo's book live stream the one and only Professor Unwinmost with a poem. How am I doing for time? Just check at the time. Oh yeah, I'm nearly done for the second hour. Oh, Mr. Lucy Elizondolode and the great Pentagol Peekaboo a gale. Mr. Elizondolode step trickly how onto the tell-all stage, chest puffage, saying, so my eyes are going funny, hang on. I was in the secretly roomage. I saw the thingies. I know the truthy most. But when we follow the trail, slow, steady, no gallop, much of it follops into a dusty puffload, oh yes. Elizondolode says, I was the head beel of the UFO Huntley treasure load. Pentagol papery scribbles say, not quite that most. This is a job descriptee, all jiggle, a sideways shimmy of titles. If your role must be re-explain it every interview, the footing is slippery most. A truthfully pillarage should not sway wibble when lightly poked. Oh no. Elizondolode says, ah yes, the navy floaty speckles dancing about like gnats on a warm evening. But when Sensi Beals inspect them, no aliens require it there. A dot on a screen is not a spaceman knocking at the door. That's a logic follop straight into the Bocus, onto the Bocus, deep folly. This smells less like disclosure and more like story cultivote with garnish. All tuggy-tug load on the heartstrails. Yes, indeed, but slips neatly past the brainbocker head bowl check pokers. Mark a bold story, Mr. Elizondolode. Now show us the thing itself, or trickly how up your own Bocus. Oh yes. Yeah, I mean, if I interpret your runways correctly, you do make some fair points about Elizondo load. But as I've said before, there's reasons why he does this, and I think they're bad reasons. I don't think putting out fake information specifically to slow down the train is going to help. I think it's going to derail the train. But I think time will tell. Oh, you need a lot of patience. Patiency saint load. Patiency saint load. Is that made up? You need patiency saint load in this business, Professor. You really do. Oxford Graffiti 4. Michael Snow says, nice upload, Ben. I love these graph videos. Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. And we have Over the Moon now on Age of Disclosure Watch Party Review. Who says here, the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, has not entirely stopped using primary radar, but it has greatly reduced its use as the main method for tracking planes. The FAA now relies more on secondary surveillance radar, SSR, and a new system called Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast, ADSB. Primary radar works by sending out a signal and waiting for reflection or echo off the aircraft itself. This method has several major problems. First, it only shows a simple blip on screen, meaning controllers cannot automatically tell which flight is which, nor can they get the plane's exact altitude. They only see a general position. Second, primary radar uses a lot of power and picks up everything that reflects the signal, including bad weather, rain, and terrain, which creates a lot of screen clutter and makes it hard to see the planes. Finally, the systems are expensive to run and maintain, and they cannot track planes reliably over large areas like oceans. To solve these problems, the FAA transitioned to better technology. Secondary surveillance radar works when the ground station asks a plane's onboard device, called a transponder, for information. The transponder sends back a strong signal indicating the aircraft's identity, its precise altitude. This is much clearer and uses less power. The newer system is ADSB. This system uses GPS on the aircraft to find its exact position and speed. And then the plane automatically broadcasts this data to ground stations and other aircraft. ADSB is more accurate and updates faster than radar and allows for surveillance in areas where traditional radar signals cannot reach. Today, primary radar is kept mainly as a backup system. It is still used to track targets that do not have the proper equipment, such as unidentified or uncooperative aircraft. I feel like I want to do a Dr. Evil meme and put that in quotes. And it is also used at airports for monitoring all traffic and vehicles on the ground. All right. Oh, so thanks for the information, Over on the Moon. I didn't know that. That's good information. And indeed, I certainly didn't know that they used it for monitoring the ground as well. It makes sense when you think about it. Now, I mean, I'm actually interested. This ties in with the MH370 videos, because was the ADSB fitted on MH370 back in 2014? That's the question. And because it would have had to be disabled as well by whoever took over the plane. Yeah, but thanks very much, Over the Moon. Much appreciated for the information. Lapis Conference. Steve Mumbling. You really paid money to hear Williams talk about piles of rubble. FFS. Oh, Matthew should reply to that comment himself. The answer is yes, I did. Only Amiga. Is that the one who slept in his car on a hill for 9 months looking for flying saucers? Very sad, really. No, that's not Matthew. Matthew didn't spend 9 months in his car. I think that's Win Keach, but it's not sad. I mean, they got real evidence. But yes, I did pay for it, Steve. And it's not just piles of rubble. It's like really interesting stuff he talks about. Secret Space Disclosure Basis Conference 2025. Neil Peel says, first. Well done, Neil. He beat Red Ibex to it again. DJ B2 says, well done, Neil. Thank you, says Neil. Second, says DJ B2. Oh, my God. Come on. Red Ibex, are you going to get the bronze? DJ B2 gets the silver. DJ B2 says, the AI postbox will fail when you piss in it on a drunken rampage. Yes, of course it will. Of course it will. They're making a mistake putting that in. I personally am not going to put my letters in there, I'll tell you. And 69 Phuket then says again, hey Ben, I think I mentioned, but Hugo's having PC difficulties. You did indeed, thank you. He wants you to know he's still about. And I said, hope you are well. DJ B2 says, hope you're well to Phuket. And Phuket says, surviving, DJ, thanks. And Phuket says, 3 hours of Ben walking about is a big ask. It's up to us to keep his channel kicking. And you certainly do that, Phuket. There's no doubt about it. Secret Space Disclosure, DJ B2. If you have to deal with Bill Clinton's spunk stains, that's when you worry. God blimey. Yeah, oh, dearie me. You know what? Molyneux makes this point, and of course, feminism comes up in this video quite significantly. Molyneux assumed, and he's quite right to assume, that the feminists would be onto Bill Clinton very harshly, because this was a man, a much older, much richer, and more sophisticated man, as well as being the most powerful political figure in the United States and one of the most powerful in the world. Basically enticing a woman into a relationship who was younger, more naive, probably less intelligent, a working class woman who was on an intern, which means she was in her education and needed like good reports and stuff like that, into sex. And Molly says the feminists are going to really hate him for this. But you know what? Do you know what the feminist reaction was to this? Silence. Well, there was one comment, which was, oh, God, if it meant keeping Roe v. Wade, I'd give him a blowjob too. That was the only comment they made. So it's pretty obvious if feminists don't even stand by their own principles. When you know, because when a sexist and rapist comes along, what do they say? Well, it's okay. He's our kind of sexist and rapist. He's a left wing. He's big government. So we'll overlook his abuse of women in this situation. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, definitely. Anyway, that's we're getting ahead of ourselves here because this does come up in the video. Phuket says, funny how the 3i Atlas thing gets no news the closer it gets. Well, it did get some news actually. I mean, I uploaded this video I uploaded this video a few days after I filmed it. It was the other ones I uploaded long after. But 3i got a little bit of a mention when it approaches perigee, as you know from the video I made, but it's gone now. It seems to have vanished from the news now. And DJ says underneath, it's the alien human burger machine. Oh my God. Remember, it's like the Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man. And Oni Amiga says, it's just a comet. It's been confirmed by astronomers around the world. No, it hasn't. Oni Amiga, it has not been confirmed at all. In fact, the evidence is leading to the opposite conclusion. Please read Avi Loeb's blog on Medium. DJ B2 says, alien burgers are soylent green. Oh, my God. Well, it's funny you should mention that, you know, DJ, because it's funny you should mention that because Richard D. Hall did this thing about these sheep disappearing in Lincolnshire and about how someone saw like this big oval-shaped UFO hovering above a road. And he said, were the sheep being taken to feed whoever the aliens are like looking after, or they're kidnapped? You know, it's protein for that and things like that. In which case, you know, they didn't all fit into that particular craft because it was too small. Or maybe it has bigger on the inside, you know, like that guy in Gateshead, you know, the Gateshead Grey. The alien was bigger on the craft was bigger on the inside. DJ B2 says, watch Pluribus. Yeah, I've seen the trailer of that. It looks fascinating. That's another one to add to the list. I've got to finish. I've got to catch up on Stranger Things, though. You know, I'm still on season 2. But yeah, it looks fascinating, Pluribus. Yeah, maybe we should watch it and do like a proper review of it. You know, base is the DJ B2. The high seas provides with the green skull. The high seas provides with the green skull. I don't get that. You have to clarify that. Was it something I said in the video? I can't remember. Clarify that, please, DJ. DJ says Pigtown's vids will be good. Do them more near a midday when you might be able to chat with one of the lads. Yeah, what I might do with the Swindon, I'll go back there when the weather's improved, and I'll maybe spend a whole day there, maybe stay overnight. Maybe when there's more people about. Although Swindon is pretty much a ghost town because of all the shops have been shut. Well, maybe, you know, I might actually get to meet one of the Lotus Eaters on the streets. You never know. And DJ says an hour before or an hour after the show as a kind of, I think that's a follow-on. Yeah, I mean, I'll maybe do that. Maybe you're right. Maybe including some studio work might help. And DJ says, just buy a pint. You go by public transport. Oh right, yeah. Oh, you talk. Oh, I think you're talking about the toilets now, didn't you? Yes. Well, I waited by the bar for like 2 minutes and no one came and served me. They were too busy, so I just nipped in the box and went out. I don't like doing that though, and I do love Witherspoons, as you know. So maybe next time I will just spend an hour in Witherspoons. DJ B2, you are not driving. You are not driving is the point. Well, of course I'm not driving. I haven't got a car. DJ says, "Oh, sorry, Ben. I'm being an asshole. I'm pretty drunk. No offense." I see. That explains it. And Phuket says underneath, you're allowed in the confines of your own home, DJ. Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry, DJ. You weren't being an asshole. You were just being you were being a bit nebulous and hard to understand. DJ says here on basis, at least I do not have steaming piles. That's true. Only mumbling has steaming piles. They must really hurt. They must be very uncomfortable for it. DJ, sorry, you posted on a drinking day. Cut back from every day twice a week. It's been hard. It's been a hard rule since COVID, since the COVID shit. Yeah, it's best to put limits on yourself. DJ, invest in hemp is another one. He put these are all comments by DJ B2 on basis. The food benefits are great. Well, I'm sure Hugo Roon would agree with you. And rope for sailing boats. That's right. Yes, hemp was the hemp drove the British Empire, didn't it? Yes. Is that Miriam with the house on the hill, or is that? I guess that's something to do with the Amityville horror. Is one of them called Miriam? But no, it's not. No, it's not. Miriam is someone else. And so, and DJ actually says yes. Oh, sorry, someone else was Miriam in the redacted chat today. Yeah. Oh, redacted. I do watch redacted. Yeah. Clayton Morris. Yeah. The guy was saying the Wailing Wall stuff is in reverence to Miriam. No, Miriam is someone in the Bible, I think. I think it's actually a version of Mary. But the Wailing Wall is the remains of the Second Temple of Jerusalem. It's all that's left of it. DJ, I nearly dated a Miriam. I avoided as people pushed me towards it. If I met a Miriam who was, who's suitable for me, I'd date her. Yeah, definitely. I make my own choices, says DJ. Drugs were involved, and I quit. Good for you. Drugs. He just repeats the word drugs here for some reason. I think he's still drunk. Basic. Phew. Someone who's not DJ is now commenting. 69 Phuket. This is actually an interesting video. Thanks, Ben. You're welcome, 69. And I'm not really into this woo to be honest. For open for thought though. A face hugger is all I want for Christmas. Tina, I think, managed to sell that. Someone bought it. I mean, maybe as a present. Hopefully not for a child, because that'll scare the shit out of them. If I was a kid, it would give me nightmares. David Spender's isolation. Roswell 80, and all the main witnesses are now dead. Good grief. Yeah, that would be in 2 years. That would be in 2 years' time, wouldn't it? 2027. We'll have to do something for that, guys. I want to maybe go to Roswell. I've never been to Roswell. I've got to go there. Only Amiga says nobody witnessed anything. Local folks just wanted to put the place on the map and publicity. No, Only Amiga, you're wrong. And David Splendid Isolation says with sarcastically, yeah, sure. Only Amiga. Do you really think that some advanced super intelligent ETs traverse the galaxy or light years in a super advanced craft only to have a malfunction and crash in Roswell? What happened? Did somebody not torque up the sump plug? All right. Only Amiga, this is a common criticism, right? Firstly, you assume that intelligent ETs are infallible and perfect, in other words, godlike, when they're not. Their crafts, as super advanced as they are, can break down. You'll find that a modern jet airliner breaks down sometimes in the same way that the Wright Flyer broke down. There are opposite ends of the technology spectrum. They're both airplanes and they both have parts that can fail. So yeah. And indeed, maybe it was shot down. I mean, a modern warship could be sunk with a 16th century naval cannon if it was fired in the right way. And also, you assume it was a crash. What if it wasn't? What if it was deliberate? What if it was staged by the aliens for a certain reason? And David actually says here correctly, that's too presumptive on who or what they are. It's a straw man. All we know is that a prosaic explanation is unlikely. Correct. And Only Amiga says, I call BS on the whole story, but it's a fun work of fiction. And David says, you're allowed to if you want, son. Correct. But if you want an exciting, if you want a fun work of fiction, Only Amiga, I can only recommend Roswell Rising, A Novel of Disclosure by me, Ben Emlyn-Jones, available at all bookshops, now priced £10. Too late for a Christmas present, but maybe for a New Year present. And you see, what's interesting is even though it's a novel, it deals with something real, which you don't accept as real. So I think the story it's based on is not fun fiction, even though my story is. Basis. David says here, David Splendid Isolation. I'm doing Silent Night again this year, as now per tradition. As much as the ending is debated into interpretation, you'll notice things upon every viewing. I know you are too, Ben. Correct. In fact, I've already watched Silent Night again, as you know, because we discussed this privately. And indeed, I did spot things, new things that I didn't see the first time. Anyway, I've actually gone quite over an hour now, so I think we'll leave part 2 there. Okay, we're back for hour number 3. And for some reason, I've gone back to like a wide angle again. Now, I don't know why it does this, because part 2 was kind of zoomed in on me. And now it's back out to wide angle. Now, it must be something to do with my webcam settings. Not that it doesn't really matter, but it's just curious about why that happens. I mean, I don't know if it makes the video better or worse when I'm like this. Well, when I'm zoomed in like that, I don't know which is worse, which is better. All right, so hour number 3, bases, 69 Phuket. Air New Zealand did. Oh, hang on. It's the 3rd hour. I need that. Here we go. Actually, I know where that was. It's all right. Air New Zealand did tourist flights over Antarctica in the 70s. It didn't last long. A DC-10 crashed into a volcano. 12th of June is my birthday. Yo, oh crap. Well, if you'd been on that plane, it wouldn't have been a very nice birthday party for you, would it, Phuket? Yeah, I mean, this is what I always say to the flat earthers, because the flat earthers always claim, well, why? You know, these planes, they fly all the way. They all fly all the way. They've got this long route they take, why don't they fly all the way, like from Southern Africa to South America? Those flights are always like across the Pacific. Why don't they just skip over the pole like they do the North Pole? Well, that's your answer, because the North Pole is comparatively accessible. You know, if you're over the North Pole and the plane develops a fault, it's only like it may be an hour's flight to the nearest airport, emergency landing. You know, like a nearby airport in Norway or Canada or somewhere. Also, if you do have to land on the ice, it's easier for rescuers to reach you because it's only like maybe a couple of 100 miles. Over Antarctica, it's thousands of miles. You're thousands of miles from anywhere. If you run out of fuel or you crash, there's no emergency landing place at all, and it will take weeks, maybe months, for you to be found by rescuers. Yeah, that's why. That's why. Phuket says a sense of humor is essential in these days of yawn. Oh God, and that fact, Phuket, that's a fact. Phuket says on basis, I'd sleep in Jane's bed. Farewell to Jane. Oh yes. I was tempted to add the one downside that she wasn't in it too, but she's a very alluring, sort of elderly lady, Jane is, I must say. But yeah, I don't mind. I'm not bothered by that. iNurses says once again, were there any nurses there? Yes. I think Tina has a nursing qualification, and oh, for some reason this comment has appeared twice. I don't know why this comment has appeared twice, but anyway, I'll add 2 comments, reply to comment things to it. There's several other people, I think, who had nursing qualifications. Tina, I mean, apart from Tina, who else? I don't know. But anyway, I know that I think Miriam, I think, was a nurse. I'm not sure. Anyway, Only Amiga says there should be plenty of mental health nurses at these events for their own good, of course. Oh, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha, ha ha ha. Oh, please stop! I need to stop laughing now, or I swear my ribs will be flying across the room. Pray silence, please, for the greatest HPANWO TV comedian. And Only Amiga says, adds underneath, are you another weirdo with a fetish for nurses? Is it weird to have a fetish about nurses? I don't think so. I used to fancy loads of nurses when I was at HP. I really, really did. Problem is, most of them wouldn't date down, so I did go on a couple of dates with nurses too, in fact. But nurses generally didn't date down, as the saying goes. I cover all that on the Cynthios video and the gas spanner program, the gas spanner radio show I do every week. Sunday night Spanner Night, and of course the HPWA blog where I discuss hospital portering issues. Okay, now where are we now? we'll have a thread. Basis. Steve Mumbling. He starts off with a spoonerism. Knucking futters. Did you sell your copy of Mogul Balloon Rising? Lol. Is that what you call it? Oh my goodness me. How could I write a book like that? I think Carl Flock has already written a book like that. Carl Flock and Carl Korff have written such boring true screeds as that. And David Smith says with his usual, he's being sarcastic again. Their alternative views, Steve, just because their views come from feelings and emotion, doesn't mean they're any less valid from those from scientists in the field who've studied for decades. Try being a bit more open-minded, lol. And Steve says to David, it's nonsense from an alternative reality. Theirs. None of them live in the real world. And Professor Unwin-Most, we got a big long comment from Professor Unwin-Most, Steve Monk. I wonder how Steve will respond to a bit of Unwinese. Miles says, deep beneath the earthly abode, vast halls of mysterious tech loaders. We peak, and oh, the deep joy. Only empty, groundy space loaders, mildly confused moles, and an occasional bleary-eyed cat. Screech and skreel, there goes your super secret base, straight into the croaky-most pile of the imagination. Ah, yes, life loads programmed. Alien overseers watching. We trickly how close, and full-up. Only shadow reflecty there. And very suspiciously ordinary plumbing. Oh, I saw it, says a quote. My cousin's friend's uncle told me, unquote. Philolop logic, 4 square on the Bocus at its peak. Oh, yes. Miles Voicebocker, testimoles. Even earnest, most unwin wordage cannot turn hearsay into evidence. Deep folly. Really? Can we do a Miles with just to say, can we do a Miles with an Professor accent? I'm sorry, Miles accent with Professor words. Deep beneath the earthly bold, vast halls of mysterious tech loaders. Doesn't quite fit, does it? Huffalo Dowder, Healy Huff, Screech and Skreel, the project's glory, a spectacular follow-up into the Green Bay swampage of fantasy, leaving only deep joy for the heartstrales. And a cautionary note for the Miload. Right. Yes. Well, it's not just like the life loads programmed and stuff. It's true. I mean, I actually went, Professor, as you know, if you're a regular viewer, I went looking for evidence of this. So I did the scientific thing. I went looking for evidence. David Smith will love me for this. And to be honest, I couldn't find much. There are some signs at the Harwell laboratory of strange goings on, but apart from that, there is no sign of any secret base under Peasmore. But still, there's more to it's more than that. I think there's, my cousin's friend's uncle told me. I think it's more than that. I think it's more than that. But anyway, I'm glad you watched it anyway, and I hope you enjoyed the video. David Smith says to Steve Mumbling, Steve, you're filling my crystal with negative energy, mate. Now, how will I prove to you it works? No one can do sarcasm like David Smith. Only Amiga says to David, it is less valid because without evidence, they'd be laughed out of a court or legit peer-reviewed conference, a legit peer-reviewed conference where facts actually matter. Nobody cares about feelings or belief in any topic, UFO or science. Well, that's true. The last bit, you're right, but you are wrong when you say there's no evidence, because there is evidence. Maybe not for everything, but I mean, to be honest, bases is kind of borderline for me. I'm actually far more. I think I'm far more sort of in the sort of like woo-woo centrist position than most people at bases. But I do love it. I still take some of it seriously. I do. Not all of it, some of it, yeah. And the Crafty 90 says, Ben, Trismegistus means thrice blessed, greatest Hermes. All right. So I was the same person because Maria Wheatley was talking about Hermes thrice blessed. I wondered if that was Hermes Trismegistus, and it turns out it is. Well, thanks. Dark Corners Bin says here on Blaces. I'm in bed, sick with the super flu at the moment. This video will keep me entertained for a few hours. And I said, get well soon, mate. Well, I hope it did, Dark Corners. I'm sorry you got the super flu. It's not nice. I've had, like, I think I might have had it. I hope so. iNurses says, I think I'm living in a dream world. Synchronicity keeps happening. I was in love with a beautiful girl from Lytham St. Anne's. Oh, are you male or are you a lesbian? From Lytham St. Anne's. And when I was with her, it was like being in a dream. We make up our own world and life. Well, maybe it was a past life memory, iNurses. You never know. Nothing as it seems bases. Where are my Arcontian lovelies with their pink or blue hair? I thought I'd find them there at bases. Well, I'm afraid you were stuck. You actually went there under false pretenses. Nothing. Did you meet up? Were you there? You should have come over and said hello. Mr. McGee says on bases, I was a bit underwhelmed by the new Disclosure trailer by Spielberg. I'm sure there will be a second trailer revealing more. I just hope it's not been overdone with CGI. Nothing will ever be as good as Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Oh, Mr. McGee, Close Encounters is a tough act to follow, isn't it? I mean, I think, obviously I do an entire video where I talk about this new trailer in detail. But one thing I'm pretty certain of, we are all going to be disappointed with Disclosure Day. And the reason is because our hopes are so high and our expectations are so great. And it probably won't live up to them. So I'm going to try, and when I watch it, I'm going to try and assess it. I'm going to try and leave all that behind and try and assess it without those expectations. But yeah, we'll find more as time goes on. Tessa111 says on bases, Enrico Caruso sang Carmen the night before the San Francisco earthquake and was caught in it the next day. His butler went back into the St. Francis and pulled out his opera trunks and possessions. He vowed never to go back. Final tales from the Tartarian Empire, Teresa. Paul Wills said on basis, Ben, beer check. A nice Italian Birra Moretti. And of course, a couple of packs of the greatest pub snack ever created. Pork scratchings. Yeah. Well, you know what? A Birra Moretti, I actually do like Birra Moretti. It tends to be very expensive. I mean, it was like in that hotel, I think it was like £7 a pint or something ridiculous like that. It really was. Oh, we got a thread? We got bases. Paying to use the fucking toilet. Crazy times we're living in, Ben Emlyn. Yes. I mean, as I said, I really resented that. I really did. I thought it was a terrible, terrible thing they've done. And I said, generally, the new bus interchange is really it's a very, very poor imitation of the original bus station. All right, it doesn't have it's modern. It doesn't have the dripping, crumbling concrete and the pigeon spikes. But at least that one worked properly and it was at least amenable. And Oni Amiga says, why is it crazy? Someone has to clean them. Would you do it for free? In Germany, you pay for services toilets, but they're clean. Yes, of course, someone has to clean them and they have to be paid, Oni Amiga. That's what council tax is for. That's why they've been raising the bloody council tax all over the country. They're taking enough money from us to pay for these damn toilets to be cleaned properly. They don't need another 50p for us to go and have a piss or a shit. It's an insult. Paul Will says, okay, point taken, but this is England, not Germany. Don't take his point, Paul. He's wrong. Oni Amiga says, it shouldn't matter where it is. I'd rather pay 50 cents or 50p for a clean toilet rather than one that looks like it is from Train Spotting. Well, to be honest, Oni Amiga, the toilets in the old bus station were a bit like the one from Train Spotting. Not that I was tempted to actually dive into the toilet bowl and have a swim around, and pretend I was under the sea, but it's still they weren't very pleasant, but they were free and they worked and they worked. They were free. Toilets flushed. There was toilet paper. You could go in there and just use them. Paul Will says, haha, I guess I'll have to concede you on this one and admit you are correct. Don't, Paul, he's wrong. Oni Amiga says, no problem. If only more folk applied common sense and critical thinking to the topics discussed at these events. I'm not trolling or hating on anyone. I used to be interested in some of these topics, then realised that most folk here are charlatans and not being completely honest. I've been proven right on numerous times, and when I called out certain people talking at this gathering in the past years. Oh, so you're a bit of a Brent Lee, are you, Oni Amiga? Some dare call it conspiracy. And Paul Will said underneath, yes, I have to admit with you that whilst watching this and listening to some of the speakers, that I was not convinced by some of them. Oh, did you watch it online, Paul? Because I know it was streamed online. Good for you. And the alarm bells did start to ring. If I do want to find out anything regarding paranormal or conspiratorial subjects, then I'd rather just do it myself and form my own conclusions. Thanks for your reply. I've enjoyed conversing with you. You know, Paul, alarm bells rang with me for a couple of them as well. I mean, I do bring this up in my review. I didn't see Drago Reed because I had to leave before he started, but all the others, you know, I have mixed feelings about. Only Amiga says, you're welcome. Have a good holiday if you're in a position to do so. And Paul Will says, thank you. Have a Merry Christmas. Well, you too, Paul. You too. And Bases. Paul says, always good to see Colin in your reportage, Ben. It's not the same without old Colin. You know, I mean, when I went to Contact in the Desert, I had fun the second time I went, but without Mark and specifically Colin as well. I mean, Mark I'm fond of. You know, I'm good friends with Mark, but Colin and I have a kind of, we have a real bond. And without those two guys, it just wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. Although I did have fun, as you know, from watching the video. Paul Will says, God, I love devices. 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015 Crop Circle Conference. Great times. Oh, I wish I could have gone to those, Paul. I really do. Paul Wills. Ben, does Miles have a studio in his living room? No, I think it would be more accurate to say he has a living room in his studio. Paul Wills. The Black Goo. Yes. And Paul Wills says, Ben, never missed an episode of The $6 Million Man. 70s child here too. Yes. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It really was cool. Paul, is that a new coat you're wearing? It looks really nice if it is. No, it's just my old winter one, which I get out for winter. Ben, you didn't visit the barge or Knapp Hill. Maybe next time. I hope so, mate, because I didn't have time to go there, unfortunately. Some of the others did. They managed to get there. I didn't. John P. Nolan says, is it still the Germans, Ben? Well, Michael Shrimpton wasn't there this year, so no, but if he'd been there, it would be. We have Professor Unwinmost, who says here, excuse me, the Basie project, wherein Milesy Most Johnston loader, Pentalode all dangly and Fallollop there. How do you know that? And what their waffleode about secret underground bunkerage, hidden earthly abode net worlds, in a groundy hole there liveth a hobbleode there. Ah, yes, in the hole in the ground lived a hobbit. Yeah. Whispery military alien cohabiting and kissy cuddleode interbreels beneath our boots and teapots. That's a good summary. The Basis project all dependy hefty thump upon, or is it hefty thump, upon second handy ho anonymous beals and, quote, I was told by a bloke who knew a chap, unquote, investigamoles. This is not researching most. It is campfire wordage, whisper it in the eardrums with a touch under the chin to scare off the spriggets, all bitey ankloads there. Oh yes. Scare the offspriggets. Oh, what's the offspriggets? Testimonials pile high, yet none are course correctly verifiable. Oh no! When challenged, the Basie project spruikers. That's not Unwinese, that's a Steve Mumbling word. The Basie project spruikers scuttled into the foggy gloomage of, quote, they can't show it because it's a secret, unquote, self-sealing excuse kettle. Once poured, no leak may ever disprove it there. Oh, deep folly. If vast subterranean tunnelage riddled the earthly abode with power plumage transport, warmly most heated, all toasty, waste from the Bocus, and a workforce of umply lumper loaders, they would leave a groovily most in the groundage, seismic blips all tremlowed and shakily there. Accountants all Huffalo Dowder, buildy bobloads, spoil heaps, and mountains of papery scribloads, all planished there. The basis project, therefore, Philollops, not with a bang, but with a soft, shuffly plop, into the category of mythy and whisperings, where imagination outruns shovel and ledger. Philolop upon philolop of folly. Well, funny enough, you mentioned spoil heaps, Professor. You know, that's the one piece of evidence I did find for the Peasmore base. But you know something? I actually kind of agree with you. I mean, it's not quite. I'm not like a big. You know, I didn't go along with everything I heard there. I go there more for the social life, to be honest. Professor Unwin most. What's with all the Huffalo Dowder regarding bold Professor Bryle Coxloader? Ah, you know the answer to that. The magnifical brilliance of Professor Bryle Coxloader. All heartstrales and brainbockers aglow, oh yes. All Milo'd attentive beals gather round your bocus, for we speak none other than Professor Bryle Coxloader, the star-stuff whisperer, and cosmic davilmost, deep joy. From the vast most reaches of spacey bold, to the quivery most micro dust of the particle fizzy, Professor Bryle Coxloader, trickily housed with a charisma, a glow, and shiny there, his wordage spins the galaxies in spirally loops. All strut-load and chest puffage, well, he's that all right, illuminating ignorance of conspiritol Thorcus with a brilliance so mark-bold, it makes the heartstrales quiver in delight. Cosmic old explainering, with telescope eyeballs and voicey most smooth, pleasy to the earbuds, Professor Bryle Coxloader reveals the deep secret dance of star-loads, nebulae cloudage and orbit thingies, all while keeping the Milo'd of us humble beals wide-eyed. He explains his explainages philolop gracefully, turning in bewildered and befuddled into almost fans of the universe's grandly most. He encourages the small clarifoles and mighty brainbockers alike to leap into the unknown and ask questi-ho that rattles the bones of Mundale Thorcus. No philolop or bocus stumble can hinder the pull of his infectious wordery there. Oh no. From the tiny twink particle to the massive stratospheric swirlings, Professor Bryle Coxloader pirouettes through the complexities with all the grace of a springy-most ballerina. He is a ballerina. That's a good way to describe him. Yeah, he's about as masculine as a ballerina. His passion illuminating each twist and turn, he makes unfathomable, laughably approachable each pearlage of knowledge, landing soft but sturdy in the Thorcus. Deep joy to watch Professor Bryle Coxloader is to feel the vastness of the cosmos in your own wobbly bocus and the warmth of pure curiosity deep in your heartstrales. Every lecture, every explain it, every word you twirl is a gift, a marker-bold bridge between humbled mortalings, the pleb-loaders, and the glimmery beyond us. Oh yes, let us bow and prostrate us in tribute to Professor Bryle Coxloader. This is almost over, thank God. The master of starlight speak, the wizard of high brainbockery, the gentlemost guide through the vast and infinite deep joy gratifies and screech and skreel of wonder all abound in his presence. Oh, blimey. God, that was difficult to read. Oh, blimey. I bet you were probably the person who composed that song about him, aren't you? Do you remember that song? Or was it? There's a song about Professor Brian Cox. It's from that Katy Perry song. Oh, my God. Hang on. Let's see if it's here. I probably can't play it because I'll get a copyright straight. But that's this is going to be even more cringe. I'll tell you what, it really is. Oh, where is it? No, it's not there anymore. Thank goodness. Yeah, Cox is some presumably some flat-chested little squealing gimp of one of his groupies, has produced like a video which is like, it's got the song of Katy Perry, you know, it's a other world, a different dimension. Yeah, I can't remember the title of the song. Oh, you're surprising. Da, 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 na, 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 na. And it's got like pictures of Professor Brian Cox. Anyway, let's move on from that. I was just reaching for the sick bag at that point. Lapis. Joshua says, this guy knows so much, it's unbelievable. Well, thank you. I don't know, you know, I'm not completely and utterly knowing everything, but I know a lot. All right, Gary says here, feminist alert at 2 hours 45 minutes. She needs more women in ufology, apparently. Cringe and fast forward. Pride and dignity to all. P.S. Enjoying your adventures as always, bro. Thanks, Gary. Well, as you know, if you keep watching, you'll know that she does get quite a bit of backlash from me in this video. And Oni Amiga says, there are enough ufology nut jobs and grifters as it is. Besides, there are plenty of women in this field of BS and lies. Linda Moulton Howe and that drug addict from Project Camel Toe. Right, right. Well, that's right. Okay, you can say that Linda Moulton Howe. I know a lot of people disagree with her. Okay, a lot of people think she's wrong about things. I actually have a much higher opinion of Linda than most people do. I think she's pretty cool, and she's been doing this a long time. And she makes mistakes, and she's sometimes over the top. But I like her, and I've met her. Now, you say, I think what you've just said here could constitute slander. As I said, if you don't like Kerry Cassidy and you don't agree with her, you may even think you may have very harsh criticisms of her. But you call her you call her a drug addict here. I think that's actually you need, if you don't provide some evidence for that now, okay, in your reply, otherwise I'm deleting your comment. Because I've not seen any reason to think that Kerry is a drug addict. I like Kerry. She's good. Her information varies on the spectrum from really, really good, very interesting to head blowing out into out of this world crazy. But I think she's dedicated her life to this. Don't you think a woman with her talents could have done well in the mainstream, like Miles? They have the skills to be good mainstream successes. They dedicate their lives to this. So where's your evidence she's a drug addict? Come on, put up or shut up. By the way, like I said, you got. I'll wait a couple of days and I'm deleting that comment. Basis says to Paul, Ben, Miles's UFO video library is amazing. It is, isn't it? I mean, God blimey, his collection, frankly, I envy. I could misspend my youth in his little library there. I really could. Paul says on Basis, Ben, what a great video that was. Your Nap Hill walk, bloody hell. Oh, unfortunately, there's other videos where I do a lot more of that, and you know that I did walk there all the way through the night. I did to Pusey. It's called A Walk in the Dark, I think, the video, but I made it a long time ago. Paul Willis says, R.I.P. Robin Williams. Yeah, I actually was more moved by the death of Robin Williams than any other celebrity. It really was, yeah. Paul Wills says on Basis, thanks for this reportage, Ben Emlyn. It was brilliant, mate. Have happy Christmas and a happy New Year. You too, Paul. Thank you very much. Paul Wills, that bird knew you were coming back. Wired. Maybe it did. I mean, that encounter with that bird was really. Miriam spotted it. She was thinking, should we go back and look at it? And I said yes, and I think she was waiting for me to confirm because she wasn't sure what she'd seen either. And perhaps she just thought she wouldn't be so crazy if I'd said yes, let's go back. Yeah, I mean the bird was just it was a brown grouse, and it was just like sitting there. And brown quail, sorry. And it just flew. So when I approached it and when I walked towards it, it flew away. It's strange. It didn't fly away from the. When the car did. First is Gary Robinson on 3i Atlas Perigee live stream. That's my latest video. And second says Gary. Gary's claiming first and second. All right. I don't know. You've got to have one or the other, mate. One or the other. I'd claim the first because it's gold. Wow Signal says most definitely third. I think you get second there because Gary claimed both. South Coast Richard said on Basis, I think that Silfo is a village or area in a mainly wooded area of the North Yorkshire moors. I think that Paul Sinclair's been there and also talked about it on YouTube. Right. That would explain a lot because, you know, because that's the kind of area he goes, that's the kind of area he kind of works in, that kind of area, sort of East Coast, North Yorkshire, East Riding of North Yorkshire. And also, of course, he's into the paranormal stuff, yeah. 3i Atlas Perigee live stream. Oh, there's 2 little party poppers here, or party cones. Right, so you get, yes, thanks very much. But yeah, that's thanks for the information there, South Coast Richard. Tessa says here on 3i Atlas, so able-bodied Davros gets rid of Daleks, too sweet. Oh, Tessa, I was just so... It was just ridiculous, Tessa. I mean, I can't watch Doctor Who anymore. I can't. I cannot watch it. Professor Emlyn-Jones says on 3i Atlas, oh, folly, folly, Throom 1 Atloader Perigrule is a rock. Throom 1 Atlas, I assume that means 3i Atlas, is a rock. No, that is deep folly, deep folly. It is more than that, deep joy. A big lumpage, fire-focused, tail dragget, camera-watched, plumy puffload, rock boat. Not a spacey saucer, not a ziggy-zaggety peepcraft, not a whispery alien teapot. Oh no. It's not a teapot, but it's those other things. Pardon me. Yet behold, along comes the screech and skreel, conspirio toll, sawdust in the eardrows brigade. Eyeballs all gazy there. That's me, I think you're talking about there. Quote, by grabbers the speed, the Anglo, the vanishing most, unquote. People talk about it vanish. It has not vanished. Oh, folly, folly, deep folly piled upon folly, all follow-up after follow-up. Oh, as you know, I don't agree. Throom Atloader does exactly what spacey common trails always do. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's spacey common trails have certain features which 3i Atlas shares, the Throom Atloader, but it has other features that contradict that. It's Bernie Blaze, it's archly curvage, it's exhausty plume puff load from the tail clabber, and then when the camera can't see it anymore, Waldo Heidi most uncover it there. This is not a mystery. This is geometrail and high brainbocker calculos. You bocust blind beals. All right. Well, as you know from watching the video, I disagree. Oh, we've got another one here. What's it? Professor Unremote. I've got an AI. I've got an AI prompt for 3i Atlas changes course. oh, it's not quite. It says I appreciate your feedback. No, it's not quite right. But I don't. Funny enough, that's the first time I've seen it. It was under Professor. 3i Atlas changes course by Professor says by grabbers. It's a rock. As beholdy with the eyeballs of the high brainbocker peep loads from the grand, groundy, spinny, earthy bode beneath our bocus. Oh, yes. No, it's not a rock. Bases. Col Costello. Hello, Col. Good to see you again. Love these, Ben. He says, thanks, Col. Much appreciated. And then on 3i, he says, get better soon. We need Ben soon. We need more of you. Thanks, Col. And you know what? I've improved a lot today. I've improved a lot. I have improved. I'm much better now than I was. Steve Mumbling says on 3i Atlas Perigee livestream, 3i Atlas is a rock. It's official. Told ya. No, it's not, Steve. It's not official at all. Spielberg's Disclosure Day. Bambi meets the invaders. I'll give it a miss. It's funny you should say that, but it does. That's true. It is with a deer. Finally, bases. Only Amiga says, what a gathering of absolute nutters. The same conference where Max Spears and Sarah Adams appeared and were both as high as kites talking pure BS and embarrassing themselves. Yeah. Ben, you will never progress in life if you continue to associate with these loonies. Okay, well, I don't agree with you on the last part. I have progressed a lot in life by associating with these friends, these good friends and comrades, and like-minded people who share this this worldview with me. And again, this is a lot of rhetoric here. Max and Sarah did appear at the 2015 Basis Project conference. That was a long time. That was 10 years ago. Since then, of course, Max is no longer with us, and Sarah has returned to the US, where she's just doing her own thing there, her healing and psychic stuff and mediumship. I actually met Sarah at Contact in the Desert, as you remember too. Contact in the Desert too. All right, guys. So that's it. Except, of course, to do a refresh and check the notices. Check the notice of what's been happening. I've got to do TikTok as well. I won't forget this time. I'll just do a quick refresh of firstly the creator page. Maybe because I'm selecting newest, it will appear. Things will appear. I don't know. If not, I'll just go to the general notifications. Let's have a look. Oh, it has. Yes, I've got Bluebeam here saying on Basis. Darth Vader is coming from the Dutch word vader in German and German Vater. Did I mention that already, or did you make it a running gag or not? Yeah, I have mentioned it. Yeah, in fact, having a Dutch mother, I noticed this years ago when I was a kid, and indeed my parents pointed it out to me. It was a bit of a clue, of course, about Darth Vader's role. Miriam, of course, also speaks Dutch, and so therefore she spotted it as well. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick look at the notices. Let's have a look at the notices. And we've got Bluebeam. Yeah, that's there. Oh, we've got Wow Signal too. Right. And Wow Signal says here, and that didn't appear on the actual list, on the actual notification list. And Wow Signal says here 2 hours ago. So that's while I was recording. I'm basically going through the comments that have appeared since I've been recording this. Merry Christmas, Ben. Long may you continue to humiliate that charlatan with your precise impersonations. I don't know which one you're talking about, but thanks very much indeed. Thanks very much indeed, Wow Signal. So we're going down a bit further. Any more? Oh, the Angry Astronaut's got a new video. Good. 3 hours, 4 hours. I think we've reached the end. Okay, so now all that remains now is TikTok. So let's see if I've got anything on TikTok. Let's have a look. The easiest thing to do is show it to you because I can't put notifications on there. So, all right, I've got activity. Let's just have a look. This was the last comment I did. What's this? Following. Okay. I think these are just the people I'm following. Terry.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Activity. Yeah, that's it. I think that was the last one I did. This was on my Charlie Vitch video. Charlie Vitch comes to Oxford. Where's the comment? Where the bloody comment? Oh, we are. Yeah, Rachel. I don't understand why does TikTok keep doing this? Maybe I just don't use it enough. Can I please look at that comment? Oh, here it is. Right. Right. And I did.
Welcome to HPANWO TV. Very, very.
This is my one, which is Charlie Vitch.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Oxford.
Okay.
My name is.
I think that's it. Okay.
Charlie Vitch. And that's.
Right. So that's the end of reply to oops. That's the end of reply to comments 121. At least, no, it's not. No, it's not. This is, if you're watching on YouTube only, this is the only thing you'll see is this particular video. But I'm now going to go and work on the Alt Tech exclusive. It may be a bit later because I need to have a rest. My eyes are getting a bit blurry. So I think I can't go too long with these things. But anyway, if you're watching this in Alt Tech, you will also be able to see on the on my channel reply to comments 101 Alt Tech. That will not be uploaded to YouTube. It's a bit too spicy for YouTube. So many thanks. It's gone to 3 hours 39 minutes this time. Obviously, without your comments, this wouldn't have happened. This video would not happen. So thank you to each and every one of you for your comments. It's really, really appreciated. Good, bad, critical, appreciative. They all add content. They all give me the creative spark and allow me to make good commentary on your comments. So thank you very much. Now I'm going to be taking a little break over Christmas, but Boxing Day there will be a live stream. There will be one. I promised Larry Warren I'd do one, and I will do one. 45th anniversary of Rendlesham Forest, and of course just maybe a general Boxing Day live stream. I'll call it that. But of course, before then, of course, is Christmas Day, and Christmas Eve is the day after tomorrow. So whatever you're doing, wherever you are, have a really, really great Christmas. Merry Christmas to you all, and thank you for supporting this project. It's much appreciated all this year. Please, I hope to see you on the live stream on Boxing Day if you're not too drunk. Well, if I'm not too drunk. Hospital Porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.
Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids, psyops, saucers and black triangles, HPANWO.